to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How is everybody doing tonight? Really quick, just want to give a shout out to the replay gang. I know you missed the live party, but thank you so much for coming back to check this out. As you know, you are definitely going to enjoy this one, but you missed the best part, being here live. So make sure you are here every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m., and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, change notifications to all, and all that good stuff. You will never, ever, ever miss an Indian Jesus party again. Before we begin, I just want to quickly give a shout out to the sponsor of the stream, MySickShirt.com. Look how beautiful all these ladies are. You can look exactly the same, or maybe not, but whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it's the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at MySickShirt.com. All right, so we've got a lot to go over tonight, and something that I brought up early on in this whole Yay West epilogue or saga that we're going through is was there effery? I can't say it yet, but was there something squirrely going on? This whole situation had me looking with skeptical hippo eyes, and I was, very much not too sure what to make of it. But as more is coming out, it seems like my initial position is more accurate than I even thought. So let's take a trip back 5 days ago. 5 days ago. Oh, it was a very different world 5 days ago. This was Crowder talking about the episode of Timcast where Ye, Milo, and Fuentes went on that. So I know some of you have already, been keeping up with the story itself and then keeping up with my coverage of the story. But you know me, I like that context. So without further ado, let's dive right into it.
Obviously, Tim Pool's been on the show many times. I can say Tim Pool actually thinks that Tim Pool. Yeah, he's been attacking both sides. Actually, did a pretty fair job. But look, this is what happened. Kanye West, yeah, for people who are not familiar. So he didn't just believe it. He put that in. Film is like something after that. He had his accounting film, right? He always was going to shut him up. Yes. So Kanye West appeared alongside Tim Pool, which is, I guess, we were working on something. Advisors, but this was the dinner that took place at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know if it's connected. And there are a lot of questions surrounding it. We didn't talk about it yesterday because we didn't have the answer. Before we get the answer. Instead, that Kanye West abruptly walked off the show at the end of the session here.
And remember, this was from that night or the next morning. So we didn't know what was going to happen on Alex Jones' channel yet. We didn't know what Kanye was going to do on InfoWars yet. So just a reminder, this is just context. This is from 5 days ago.
They tried to lock me up. Because every time I'm just holding stride, and it's like, I thought it was more Malcolm X, but I find out I'm more MLK because I'm getting hosed down every day by the press, and financially I'm just standing there. And when I found out that they tried to put me in jail, it was like a dog was biting my arm, and I almost said, yeah, almost. Oh, I still walking stride.
Almost.
I think that they were still dirty. I didn't say though.
Who's they though?
I'm not even. I don't know the word. What is them though? Isn't it? I mean, because if we think about it, consider it. 2018 is not. What I mean is like, okay, so how about?
And then he's off. So again, I just wanted to give some context to what we're talking about in case you haven't been following. I'm sure you've all seen this, but stick with me and we will get to the new stuff.
I'll say right now, you guys want to bring that stuff up? And I do the session. You think you guys are going to come in here and say, here's my stuff, I'm going to say, I hear you. And then he's going to say, and it was this thing, I'm going to get, okay, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, look, that's the problem with running for office. You're just running for office. I'm not going to appreciate you like this. But if I'm not going to talk you disagree with me in a way that I think is pretty respectful. You walk off the cuff. You got about how people come to how do you like it? It's I was in the chair a week and a half ago, and now Kanye West is not necessarily well. I'm not going to be here. Kanye West has been wrong. Okay, this is absolutely true. He has been wrong. We'll get into it. Next week,
or has he, or was he? That is going to be a shift that we're going to see in how everybody's looking at what's going on. Even myself, I was very much looking at Milo as the one pulling the strings. But as time goes on, time went on.
And I do think that he has valid reasons to be upset. I think what people are missing now, people are saying, oh, you should be able to say, sure, you should be able to say whatever you want. And I don't necessarily know which portions, I should say I don't know. Every portion of it, I can tell you which part is saying that, which part isn't. I don't know all the comments we've made. I mean, that's something wrong. People are going to be supporting him saying, hey, he's been found for what he said. So he's being wrong now. He's being wrong by a new set of people that are taking advantage of him, trying to say, look how wrong he's been in the past. Just having people who are wrong now, they're not good. And by the way, to be clear, I am not someone who is against speaking in generalization, but I am against speaking in unspecified, unsubstantiated generalizations. For example, I would say, 87% of divorces in this country are initiated by women. Generalization, I would say, hey, as a voting bloc, American Jews tend to vote pretty liberal, which they go against their self-interest in a lot of ways, that conservative people are practicing Jews and their values.
So those of you specifically in the replay gang, do you agree with that that assessment of where Kanye was at that time? This was right after we had seen the Tim Pool walkout. Do you agree or disagree that Crowder is being fair to Ye with this?
Hey, all Jews are at. That's now a generalization of unsubstantiated. Just to be clear, I'm not someone who doesn't believe that generalizations play their role and that they are useful. Sometimes people say all about the individual. It's not only always about the individual. That's not lost on me.
And I'm somebody who talks about individualism a lot, but that doesn't mean that generalizations don't work or aren't applicable.
Being wrong now to begin with. Some people are criticizing Tim Pool for being unfair by pulling up a headline on the outset of the interview. Kanye only wants to come for walk off. And the headline included the notion of anti-Semitism. I'll just pull this story from the Hill, which is from Thursday, 5 p.m.
Again, I know a lot of you have seen this, but we're just running through it.
And says Trump should apologize. It's wrong to be an anti-Semite at the table. This, of course, is related to a dinner that happened, and I want to go on the details. So, a dinner happened. Nick, you were there. Yeah, you were there. I just want to start off by how did this dinner come to happen and what happened?
Now, how many of you would have loved to hear about what that dinner was actually like? Because now, going forward in time from this point, I mean, I didn't watch the full Alex Jones thing. Once you're showing up with all that, you've lost me. I was very, very interested to see what the Tim Pool conversation would be. But once he's on Alex Jones with the mask on and saying what he said, like, nope. But how interesting would it have been just as a piece of history to know what happened when the 45th president and one of the most famous rappers and famous people sat down and had a dinner, and we just didn't get that.
I was talking to Trump for about
a month with dinner in October.
That's about as much that we get on the dinner, for those of you who don't know.
That gives you context of how people didn't seem to be incapable of dealing with that question. So it's relevant because what people does is show is they go to news. They go to news and answer guest questions. We talk about news. We don't have guests on the anymore because often you guys don't want to talk. We will bring guests on when we want to discuss the guests. They are the news. In this case, it's appropriate.
That was a big mistake on Tim's part. I don't know how far in advance Tim tried to book Ye on the show, but it should have been very obvious that even though there was a lot of politics happening around Ye just wants to talk about Ye.
I mean, that's the news story. I mean, people are complaining. You can comment, oh, Tim Pool might have interrupted you. I know. Nobody has ever been interrupted. Yeah. No, it wasn't. Oh, I love it. No, it's true. Look, the thing is, the point you made just a second ago at the outset, is somebody said, when we were backstage, you said I would affect you during whatever. You said that I would be well with hot folks. And Seth, I'm just, I think you would resonate on this better. And it was looking for hot folks as a thing. And he goes, no, what I'm saying is, historically, the black folks have tended to go one direction. And I think you would do well with the category. I was trying not to get into generalizations of they. They already talked about this before. I don't want to be in generalization, but I made a generalization. There's substantiated generalizations that you need to make this type of stuff. And then there are gross generalizations that may be wholly inaccurate. And that's what conversation we had about generalizations and examining whether it's yeah, I mean, I can definitely speak to kind of stuff like that. But I think really being in that situation, you have to be in there, and he's got to finish. Yeah, you do it. Yeah. Well, I'm going to do you. I said, yay, yay, easy, yay, yay, all right, yay, yay.
So listen to how charitable that they're being. Just 5 days ago, how charitable they're being.
You know what? He's wrong. Yeah. You know, if you're there and he's trying to do it, he doesn't want to be monetized. He doesn't want to be depressed. He can't just hand a mic to somebody and say whatever he wants to, because we do know that right now, wherever kind of mental state is, he's going to go off on something that people can deflect on. And there's a lot of different elements. If anybody can go on it, doesn't have this is I agree with you. My only thing is worried about being deflect on the host network and don't host network. If I leave it out, then immediately after it's not comfortable with the rule and take it. One time we got to move forward. Another time we didn't. It's high risk, high reward, right? If you're trying to have a big name,
hey, we got CMT in the building. Welcome. The sound is off. Well, thank you very much. Let's give that a take two. And let's see how that does. How are you doing, CMT? Glad to see you. I figured that since Alex Jones came on to talk with Steven Crowder about the infamous interview, let's get all of that from the horse's mouth. But you know me, I like that context. So hopefully, let me know if this is any better.
Yeah, court's controversy. So let me...
Well, I honestly like Kanye, though, honestly, and I don't think he hates Jewish people. I really don't.
No, I don't think he hates Jewish people. I think he's been wronged, and I think that he's aiming sometimes a howitzer. He's being imprecise.
Right. Yes.
But he's not wrong about everything. Look, is there a conversation to be had about secular humanists with Jewish last names in Hollywood exploiting people in positions of, the performance arts talent? Yeah. And by the way, that happens in the conservative movement, too. Behind the scenes. Yeah. People sign contracts where they don't know what they're signing. Yeah, it's true. Is there a disproportionate number of people with Jewish last names in higher banking? That's an argument that can be made. But then when you get to it's because they're Jewish and all well, now we have a problem, not because it's offensive, but because it's inaccurate. So let me first set this up. Kanye West has been wronged. And I do think that this matters because it might provide some context as to his mental state. So early November, he released some text messages. And all these references are available at loudclare.com. His personal trainer, Harley Pasternak, I believe is how it's spelled, tried to have him committed.
I think it's Pasternak, but
this is what the guy...
So let's see if he's gonna read.
I said, I'm going to help you one of a couple ways. First, you.
So this is the text that he's reading.
And I sit down and have a loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words, and everything that is discussed is based in fact and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. Second option, I have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever. Play date with kids just won't be the same. Okay. Look.
So clearly, again, we're at 5 days ago with this video. So clearly, even from there was a lot of charity or a lot of goodwill being sent in Ye's direction. And certainly, that's another thing that was brought up on Timcast that I would have loved to dive deeper into. But this Harley Pasternak guy saying that they were going to Michael Jackson him. Of course, we didn't get there because Kanye, or excuse me, Ye, had to have a hissy.
Let me be really clear about something. That's the level of evil that warrants a face-to-face ass-kicking. Invoking the guy's children. And by the way, a lot of people, it's a very common fear of being locked up, of being institutionalized against your will. That is cruelty. And keep in mind, this is someone who has been hospitalized, allegedly against his will. And that does. Look, people use the term triggered or PTSD. Being locked up against your will and drugged out of your mind, that'll do it. That will do it. Let's go to 2016. Pasternak, there was a phone call that he made that resulted in Kanye West being hospitalized. And by the way, this is a guy, let's parse kind of the conspiracy theories versus reality. Pasternak, he experimented on Canadian soldiers on behalf of Canada's Department of...
So it says, celebrity trainer and nutritionist Harley Pasternak holds a Master of Science in Exercise Physiology and Nutritional Sciences from the University of Toronto and an honors degree in kinesiology. I know that that's the movement or the study of movement. I don't know how to say, but kinesiology or something like that. From the University of Western Ontario. He's also certified by the American College of Sports Medicine and the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology, and which is highlighted. Served as an exercise and nutrition scientist for Canada's Department of National Defense.
National Defense. This is where some people have said MK Ultra. Wasn't able to substantiate that. That seems like it's more of a CIA American program. It is real, just to be.
And again, listen to how much goodwill that they're giving to
Be clear.
Yeah.
But he did experiment on Canadian soldiers, and this does seem to be a man who was capable of cruelty and issued cruel threats. And this is someone who was probably mentally abusing Kanye West for a very significant amount of time. Here is this man talking about the experiments in an interview.
So working for the military, I wasn't governed by the same laws that the typical person was. So I could look at the impact of certain drugs that are not.
Is he interviewing himself?
So we looked at a drug called modafinil, which was for narcoleptics. So if you give a soldier this drug, how long could they stay awake for without having any health detriment? It's very interesting. Modafinil, it will keep you
That's
awake,
like Lance Armstrong,
but it's not a stimulant.
It looks like him.
So if a special forces person has to stay awake for...
I was going to say, that sounds familiar in a military context. I mean, I don't know much about it, but that's exactly what are you saying?
3 nights waiting for the right opportunity to do whatever they have to do, we could give them modafinil and we keep them alert.
So this is a douchebag who's familiar with pharmacology, who has used it to experiment on soldiers and is threatening to use it against Kanye West, against his will.
He's also helped people like Mac Miller, Ellen Page before she was Elliot. He's really been...
Helped? Okay.
Brittany
He's
Murphy.
batting 100.
Yeah, go ahead and Google who this guy has helped.
Let me guess. Amy Winehouse?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that was just a guess. Really?
For real. Yeah.
Oh, what a piece of shit.
No, this guy, he's
Elliot Smith.
Yeah,
See a trend?
Morrison.
Yeah, he cleans stuff up.
That guy in A Star Is Born? I don't know his name.
Yeah.
He's Luca Brasi, let's be honest.
So here's the thing. Kanye West was wrong. He was used. Here's the thing. He's being used now. So there are a couple different theories as to what's been going on. And this is just, some of this is going to be speculation. Hopefully I can present a case to you as to why.
So that's the part. Yeah, remember, this is 5 days ago, right after the Timcast episode. So this is what we're getting before we ever saw Ye and Nick on Alex Jones.
So remember, this is what happened. It was last week. There was Kanye West. He brought Nick Fuentes, Nicholas Fuentes, Milo Yiannopoulos to Mar-a-Lago for a dinner with Donald Trump. Okay. So that happened. By the way, hit the like button, hit share, because this is something that is being memory hold on YouTube, and we'll talk about Apple and Elon Musk. It's probably going to be a little bit longer of a show today, just to let you know. Here's the thing. So Kanye West has brought in someone like Milo and someone like Nick Fuentes. Now, the motivations there do matter. If you're a conservative, right? Let's say you like Donald Trump. Let's say you like Ron DeSantis. It doesn't really matter, because these people, I would argue, want to destroy all of it. They don't want the conservative movement. They don't want Republicans to do well. They certainly don't want Trump to do well.
Now, remember, that same day or within 24 hours of this being broadcast, and I believe it was afterwards, somebody had dug up some Parler posts from Milo saying that he had, wanted vengeance against Trump, that he wanted to take down the whole Republican Party. So that's where and I found that out after all of the Timcast stuff occurred. So that's why I was very much in the position of pointing fingers at Milo. But now that they have parted ways, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But again, just context.
There's a personal vendetta against Donald Trump with these individuals. So he brought these individuals to Mar-a-Lago, which was not vetted by Donald Trump, which I think was foolish.
Yeah.
I don't think you should let anyone in there and sit down with them for dinner. If their goal was to actually basically inflict damage on Donald Trump, well, then it's been incredibly effective, because it's been immediate.
And they didn't even get, he's right, it's been incredibly effective, and they didn't even get to talk about what happened at the dinner. Now, Trump is not using his new refound publicity by going back on Twitter. I think he has some type of legal thing with True Social. But imagine if whatever happens at that dinner, it makes things look really bad for Trump. Then Milo Ye and Nick Fuentes get to tell their side of the story. But Trump doesn't get his word out there. that could have been even worse for Trump. I mean, I'm not here saying, oh no, save Trump, but I'm saying that could have definitely been worse for Trump.
Media cycle now for 3 days. And Milo Yiannopoulos has quite literally communicated in the past, because he felt wronged, his desire to take Donald Trump down. Here you go. Here's a quote. "I lost everything helping put Trump in office. My life and career were completely destroyed. Was it worth?"
Guys, I do not know what is going on. Wednesday night is usually popping. So do me a favor. While we're sitting here, just take the URL of the video. Go on whatever social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. Just post it somewhere. Somebody's going to come through. Let's make this a fucking party.
Worth it? No, I feel utterly betrayed. I will have vengeance. I am dedicating the rest of my life to the destruction of the
So these are the posts for Milo.
Republican Party. Burn the Republican Party to the effing ground.
Jeez.
That seems pretty clear in motivation. So my question is then, okay, Kanye West, did he know or did he not know? But I think it would be pretty clear as to Milo Yiannopoulos' motives goading to Mar-a-Lago and goading Kanye West at this point. Kanye West is being, I believe, used as a pawn again, and you guys shouldn't be championing it because he says a couple of things that you like. The guy needs
That's the exact same thing that I came to. But remember, we're still in the past. We're still in the past.
Help.
Yeah.
The guy needs some support, not from charlatans. Let's go down the list to this Nick Fuentes character. He once called Donald Trump cucked and he was very upset that Donald Trump disavowed white supremacy.
Yeah, for him to disavow white supremacy is very cucked and blue-pilled. Totally wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, why would a president do that?
Yeah, why would a president? So for the same reasons that we liked him, where we said it was pretty clear that he said, I'm not talking about white supremacists who should be disavowed totally. I said, I'm not talking about them. They were fine people on both sides. You do have people out there who actually hate that Donald Trump disavowed white supremacy. Is that you? Because if that's not you, if you like that Donald Trump disavowed white supremacy while saying there were fine people on both sides who supported at least recognizing our heritage with monuments that might have been a part of the Confederacy, and that there were liberals on the other side who had an argument to take them down. If you like the fact that Donald Trump actually messaged to both portions of the voting constituency while condemning white supremacy, if you like that, well, then you can't be in alignment with these guys.
Yeah. Well, and their whole intention, it seems like you said, was just to be a disruptor, to go in. And obviously we've kind of shown you some of Milo's tweets there, or I guess it was on Parler that he was saying those things, right? And he has obvious intentions. It drove conservatives away from Donald Trump, because now they're seeing Kanye go in and say, I'm running for office, I'm going to be president. Milo is the campaign manager, essentially, for Kanye right now. I have no idea what Fuentes is doing anywhere near this group of people.
Fuentes is just trying to get anybody to listen to him that will. And being tied to Ye is a much bigger thing than being on Cozy TV.
But it is damaging the crap out of the Republican Party and out of Donald Trump just by having him there. And you said it right. That's a mistake on his part. If he is going to run an effective campaign to become president again of the United States, that kind of stuff can't happen.
Right.
So that's an interesting point. Because you would think in this hyper-politicized world that even if Ye is saying these awful things, if it's being tied in whatever respect to Donald Trump, then if I'm a liberal, I'm like, yeah, keep going, Kanye. Keep going. Because you already think that this is how most people on the right already think. So you should want this to come out and make Trump look as bad as possible. But that's not happening. Why is that?
Because it's very, very easy for those groups to just kind of walk up beside, and that's all the media needs.
And of course, if Ye, sorry, I almost did it again.
I know,
silly
Ye.
me. It's almost like all of this is stupid.
I know.
If Ye wants to be an effective president, he also has to do better than that. And just to be clear, I've had interactions with Milo, with Tim Pool. I haven't had any interactions with Nick Fuentes, but here is something that I will say. It's fine to have disagreements. Ben Shapiro and I have disagreements. I think that the internet is a better place, the world is a better place for someone like Ben Shapiro being out there than not being out there. Rand Paul and I have disagreements. I think that we are better off having a representative like him than not. Same thing with Ted Cruz, right? Certainly I would take him over Beto. So there can be disagreements. When there are people, though, in the movement whose only goal is to destroy with no intent of building, that's where you say, okay, this is a bad actor. That's where you say the term grifter. That's where you say this is a charlatan. So the only interaction that I have ever had with Nick Fuentes was we did a show at Gerald was there at Texas A&M. And at this point, I guess he was organizing a group called the Groypers. And their whole thing was going after anyone who they saw as, like Donald Trump, disavowing white supremacy. And so we, have our tentacles in every group on Facebook, and we kind of keep tabs on people. And so we know that they were planning on coming and storming the Q&A session, kind of loading it up. Because I'm an open borders cuck, if you know anything about me. This was the argument for it. So what did happen, and this is my only interaction with, I guess, the followers of Nick Fuentes, was you were there actually organizing with Q&A. When we used to do Q&A, we'd say everyone who has a sort of a confrontational question, right, adversarial, go on this side, and then anyone's a fan, this is the line. We would go 1-on-1. Yeah, 1-on-1 so that no one just dominates the conversation.
Right,
And we knew because they sort of had like a hierarchy with, I guess, the Groypers, who was going to go first, and then follow-up questions. And I think we actually have an overlay here from Texas A&M. Yeah, that was one of the gentlemen there with the cross. Because we knew
he was. I was standing right behind him, and the minute that somebody, and I'm not afraid of a cross, obviously, as a Christian, it's not a problem. But the minute somebody holds it up like this and is like going to the crowd like this, I'm like, okay, something's a little weird.
But either you're Carrie's mom.
Yeah. I was right next to him, and I'm like, I'm going to position myself between him and you.
Right.
So, all right. So we got a little context of where Crowder is coming from before we got to see all of this. So a little bit more context. I'm sure that many of you did not sit and watch the entire 3 hours of the InfoWars, whatever you want to call it, and neither did I. So we've all seen like the crazy clips. But I wanted to find out some more of just like the other stuff that he said, just because I like context. So I found this channel from Some Black Guy. So thank you, Some Black Guy. Go check his stuff out, and let's dive into it.
I'm tired of hearing I'm a Nazi. I'm really, I'm not. But I think by them falsely accusing people, some people are going to become Nazis.
I am. Now I am. Now
supreme victory.
Yikes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in unprecedented times. I've already speculated that we are in a simulation. I've said this multiple times. Things are getting weirder and weirder. The simulation is supposed to be
what?
Right? Like things are normal. You don't notice anything weird happening, but there's just glitches happening because in a regular real world, the stuff that's been happening wouldn't normally happen. Kanye is that to a T. Where Kanye is going, where he's headed, and the things that he's doing is like this would not happen in a normal setting. This seems so wacky. It's like this reality has to be fake. This is so crazy. So I've already been covering the stuff that Kanye's been doing before, and here he goes. And this was the
All right, so just want to see some of the actual clips. Come on, we're doing so good.
So we're going to start off right here where this is like, I don't know how many minutes into the stream. It's only 12 minutes into the actual stream that they did, the show they did. And this is where like stuff kind of like starts to pick up a little bit. Let me see if I got the volume good.
I'm saying,
all right,
I am a classical liberal at heart, so I love everybody, not judge people by what they do, not what color they are.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like that classical liberal thing. It's like Sargon McCod and Dave Rubin and stuff. And then, you know, you see the style of content they make and stuff. So it's always funny when people say that.
And then I look at the things you've said, and some of them out of context I don't agree with, but compared to a liberal, a modern liberal saying white people are inherently evil and white people are bad because of their skin color, and then that's what the ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center and these leftist groups in Hollywood have pushed.
There's been a lot of dumb bullshit that has happened with like progressive ideologues. There was a lot of ideological zealots that were saying a lot of dumb stuff like that, being like basically it's like, hey, all these people, all these marginalized groups were trashed for so long. It's time for the white people to get a taste of their own medicine, which was really stupid, and which gave a lot of strength to the underground groups of like white supremacists to be like, see, everything we've been saying is right. Look what's happening, which was a huge issue. But the fact that giving a platform to the white supremacists and the white supremacist talking points is obviously not the answer. What he's wearing just...
Yeah, I didn't want to stop him. He's going off. So I like that interpretation. Let's go on to some other clips.
It looks like a race car with a Bible and there's these helmets on Mass Effect like that look exactly like that. And this dude is just the fact.
All right, come on.
I hate this because like people like Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes is there, the obvious white nationalist. Comedy. You see it because
I want to hear the actual clips, guy. Come on. Oh, what are we doing? Struggle streaming.
With Ye standing right next to him, you know?
Yeah, because that's what really matters, right? What matters is what somebody says in front of you and not what they say off screen. Like, you notice people do that a lot, though. So-and-so has never been mean to me or whatever, but then they're a piece of trash to everybody else, so then they'll still continue to associate with that one person. People are very, like, self-centered in that way. They're just like, well, as long as I haven't been wrong, I'm still going to associate with this person. Instead of, like, seeing the mountains of evidence that this person's a piece of trash. Like, Nick Fuentes has a mountain of garbage that he said. And then he's like, whatever, he seems cool to me. When we talk, we're bonding. He totally gets me. He totally understands my anti-Semitism.
No, it's like that's the thing that the Zionists control, the 300 in control of the media, in control of the governments. They don't want us to connect to each other. Like my dad said.
Oh yeah, that's what's happening, right?
Okay, they say you're
I'll let him finish.
Anti-Semitic, but they say he's a white supremacist, and he's asking me,
yes.
Well, what's the difference? I said, Dad, there is no difference. It's just separation and confusion. They want to separate and confuse the Christians and make us afraid to stand next to each other. A Christian can stand next to anyone. We can go visit R. Kelly,
including Hitler, I guess,
in prison.
Oh, no.
They want to single out one person and burn them to the core. That is a Zionist approach. And they're asking me to use that same approach. Well, hey, don't say all people, just say specifically the businessmen. And then I go on Lex Freeman and I say who it's specifically, and that's still not enough. They're still taking it too far.
It's why it's not enough, Mr. Ye, is because you already let the cat out of the bag before. You didn't start with just the businessmen. You already screwed up by not specifically just saying these handful of people I have a problem with. Maybe some other people would connect dots, and then you would have to say, I don't care that they're Jewish. The problem is you cared from the very beginning, so you immediately shot yourself in the foot.
Exactly. And that's the point, is that if you had never shown your hand that it is about the Jews and not about the people who are fucking with you, then you would be able to come back and say, oh, the Christian thing is to love everybody, whenever. But come on. Hey, we got Salty Plays in the building. What is good, brother? How are you? How are you? Late, no problem. I am glad you are here. So we're just going over some of the, giving some context to all of this yay stuff, which I'm sure you guys know most of what's good, but I wanted to find a video with some of the stuff that wasn't, him saying I love her, I'm, all that stuff. Just giving a little bit more of what exactly he was talking about in general. One of the things that that Fuentes was saying, there was a video that Kyle Kalinske posted earlier today or yesterday or whenever of Nick Fuentes responding and say, well, I think that went very well. And, the media is just focusing on the fact that he said, I love Hitler. Like, why would you focus on that? Makes a lot of sense to me. So let's get through the rest of this one, and then let's hear from Alex Jones talking to Steven Crowder about what the fuck this was.
And you're saying Zionist and this and this and that, and I'm like, you screwed yourself. There's no coming back from that.
Yep.
Once you say anti-Semitic stuff or white supremacist talking points, people are going to be like, well, obviously, if it walks like a duck.
That's right. You're not Hitler. You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized.
Well, I see good things about Hitler also.
I like how Alex Jones is trying so hard to be a good interviewer and steer him in a direction to save him a little bit. And he's just like, I see good things about Hitler. Like, Hitler's pretty dope, actually.
He tried. You cannot give any, you can't take anything away from Alex Jones. He tried.
This guy that invented highways, invented the very microphone that I use as a musician. You can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good, and I'm done with that. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler. How about that one?
What? That language is so stupid because somebody as heinous as Ted Bundy or whoever just went viral with the Netflix documentary, I can't think of off the top of my head right now, Jeffrey Dahmer. And I'm sure Jeffrey Dahmer at some point.
We were talking about how even coming from a Christian perspective, if you just say everybody has something good to offer, even Hitler, that is a very different sentiment than saying everybody has something to offer, especially Hitler. That is a very different sentence.
Ari Emanuel, how you like that one? Hey, Ron, you gonna do anything to fix Chicago?
Rahm Emanuel. Hey, look, I don't like Rahm Emanuel either, but I don't like that 99.9% of politicians, so, fair enough.
My favorite thing that I got to say with Tim Pool was Rahm Emanuel was right there next to Obama. Jared Kushner was right there next to Trump. What are those two people, those two Zionists, I gave it away, have in common? Nick, can you pick that up and expound on that?
Here we go.
And notice how he has to throw it to Nick because he has all these ideas and feelings and thoughts. But it's not that. Remember when we were looking at the Tucker interview and how legitimately we were trying to break down what is it that this man is trying to say, and does it make sense? And just like Crowder in the last video that we watched, there was a lot of goodwill because Kanye has, number one, he's been through a lot. We know that he has mental health issues. We know that he is in a crossroads period in his life. That don't excuse this, though.
Yes, Nick, Mr. White supremacist that marched at Unite the Right and was extremely excited and pumped about it, and that says, Kanye, your marriage, when you got married to Kim Kardashian, he thinks that y'all should never have been married in the first place. He does not agree with interracial marriage. Yes, please, Nick Fuentes, continue.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's interesting because you've been going on these interviews with Lex Friedman and with Tim Pool and Piers Morgan, and they always say, well, don't talk about a group, talk about the individuals. And I would point out, one, it's hypocritical because in the same interview, Tim Pool said, well, wouldn't Ye be so great for the black vote?
Oh, that reminds me. I have to pull up Tim specific. Well, we'll do that after. But Tim specifically talked about what that part of the conversation was. And of course, it was not anything close to being racist.
You can say the black vote, we talk about Jewish businessmen, and somehow that's a problem.
Okay, Mr. What? I hate this guy so much, dude. He's so stupid. So, talking about the black vote, there was nothing derogatory about that. Saying these group of people, you're just saying these are a group of people. What Kanye's doing is saying these group of people are evil. They're controlling things and they're keeping me down. That is a very big difference. And to act like there isn't a difference in saying that, like, oh, Kanye getting the black vote versus these people who happen to be Jewish are evil and they're controlling everything and they're screwing everything over and they're trying to do this and this and that, put me in jail. Very big fucking difference.
Alex.
Again, shout out to some black guy. That's his name. Shout out to some black guy. Just on point. I don't have too much to add to that.
Yes, sir.
I've got the perfect answer for the ADL. They are gonna have to listen up. What we did is we brought Netanyahu with us.
So again, if you're just joining us, we're just giving a little bit of context for those who maybe have not been keeping up. A little bit of context of what has been going on with Ye, what happened, some of the lesser known moments on in the Alex Jones the Alex Jones interview, and then we're gonna get to the interview with Alex Jones himself, as well as with Crowder. Hey, we got Lefty Lucy in the building. Welcome. How is Kanye factually wrong? Hitler did not invent highways or the microphone.
I'm in the Twilight Zone right now.
I'm in the Twilight Zone right now.
Exactly that.
And I didn't notice. Somebody had to point this out afterwards, that he brought a net and a Yahoo. I just seen him, I just saw him with the flag, and I'm like, what is this? What's going on? But net and Yahoo. That's funny. That's intelligent. But
exactly that. The fucking Twilight Zone, the Matrix is breaking because what is this? Netanyahu. What is he fucking Carrot Top? What the fuck is this?
All right, get on with it now.
Oh my God.
Netanyahu, what do you have to say? What do you have to say to Alex Jones right now, Nick Fuentes and Ye? It was bad, but Trump didn't meet with Nick and Ye. Okay.
I'm fucking sweating. Alex Jones is like, what the fuck is happening? Look at his face. He looks like the what is his name? That Harold, that old meme dude.
I had no idea your voice is gonna sound like that, Netanyahu.
So you don't like Benjamin Netanyahu?
Just dropped a new poll. Hit that poll.
I just heard about this guy 2 weeks ago since like the tweet, and
I just heard about this guy 2 weeks ago. So you're telling me you're going on a worldwide anti-Semitic tour, and you didn't even know who Benjamin Netanyahu was 2 weeks ago, maybe do a little bit more homework before you come out and say the things that you've said.
That's awesome. He's just heard about Benjamin Netanyahu for the first time 2 weeks ago. That's legendary.
Thought he had a funny name. I heard he's like really into like, he's like a super killer and I could die for saying this. So in case this the last time you ever hear.
Oh, this is interesting. Looking on there, it says 5 more Herschel Walker exes come forward to accuse him of terrifying violent behavior. Walker stumbles in final stretch of runoff.
I don't
That's
care.
very interesting. It seems like
make a separate
they're
video.
trashing him because you would think they'd want to help him and not even bring.
I'm glad you guys are here, and we can.
Yeah, you sure about that?
We can sit here and upset. All I'm telling you is,
God, he's just giggling like a fucking schoolboy.
Did you guys realize that the British government?
I'm leaving for now. Do.
Hey, we got Frankie D Reacts in the building. What is going on? Yeah. I know. Hopefully, with your guys' help, if you come, you guys know I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. You don't need a notification for that. You can just write. It's 3 letters and M, W, F, and 8 p.m. Eastern. That's all you need to know. So you don't need to worry about whether shadow bans are there. If you just show up, you'll always be here. And that is how we fight the shadow ban. So again, I'm going to ask you guys. I know I said it before. I knew something was up. So if you guys could do me a favor. Frankie D has put up proof that YouTube is trying to keep me down. So there's one thing that they cannot do. They cannot stop you from taking the URL of this video and posting it on social media. So please, just take the URL, go to Twitter. Oh, this is dope. Go to Instagram. Oh, man, check out. Come on, guys. Help me out.
And then I'm going to say something. All right.
Not only an artist, you're
And if you're just joining us again, we are just giving a little bit of context for the Crowder and Alex Jones conversation. I'm sure you all are very familiar with what's been going on. But I'm a context guy. I want to give you that full context.
Comedian. That's what I'm getting.
You're very funny, Kanye. I love you so much. You always bring out the props, just like Carrot Top. I'm a big fan of Carrot Top because he's not a part of the globalist.
Getting at here is that that it was a it doesn't even matter.
He's done. He's done.
My goodness, there is just.
All right. So those are some more of the specific points in the interview that maybe we didn't see from the Twitter clips. Not that they were much different or much better, but like I said, I like to have my my context. So now we're going back to, this was what, yesterday. So this is from yesterday. This is the day after the all that happened, and we want to hear it straight from Alex Jones' mouth. Let's dive into it.
We got the whole quagmire. I did find some just entertainment, sick entertainment, though, watching him and Alex Jones.
Red Bank, New Jersey. I live relatively close to that.
Yesterday. And it's just funny because, like, Alex Jones was treating Kanye West the way that everyone else treats Alex Jones on theirs.
That's pretty good. Mm-hmm.
He kept trying to give him an out. He's like, well, of course the media's going to try to say you're a Nazi, and they're going to, I am a Nazi, though.
Well, CNN says white people are evil Nazis, so I mean, I disagree with both statements, but I get the pros.
I don't like the word evil next to Nazis. I think we need to look at.
Oh my goodness! Just because you don't like one group doesn't mean the other. Look,
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis.
Oh man! Well, I have to disagree with that.
I like it.
So Frankie says near Red Bank. I mean, I'm not near Red Bank. I'm not trying to dox myself, but NJ all day, baby.
Hitler.
I don't like Hitler. And I know you're trying to be shocking with that.
I'm not trying to be shocking. I like Hitler. I do not. The Holocaust is not what happened. Let's look at the facts of that. And Hitler has a lot of redeeming quality. Perfect.
Does he though?
Answer for the ADL. They I'm going to have to listen up. What we did is we brought Netanyahu with us.
I mean, I'm in the twilight zone right now.
It was bad. It was bad for Trump to meet with Nick and Ye. Okay. I had no idea your voice is going to sound like that, Netanyahu.
Well, CNN says white people are evil Nazis, so I mean, I disagree with both statements, but I get the pros.
I don't like the word evil next to Nazis. I think we need to.
Jesus Christ. I've heard all of these before, and still, just like one after the other, it's like, bro. That's why it comes down to like, this could not have been anything legitimate. This has to be a setup.
Look at.
Oh my goodness! Just because you don't like one group doesn't mean the other. Look,
I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis.
Oh man! Well, I have to disagree with that.
All right, Mr. Jones, thank you for being with us, sir. I felt we needed to include that context. Boy, seemed like you were holding on for a bumpy ride with that interview. Do I have that about right? Did you expect that in your wildest dreams?
No, I didn't, and I didn't say what he could talk about, but I said, can we just try to bring people together and talk about real issues like human trafficking and fentanyl and how you want to bring jobs back to America and really see the deeper side of you and not just sound bites. And they were like, yeah, in fact, he doesn't want to even get into that stuff.
Keep that in mind. He didn't even want to get into that stuff. What I was going to show you guys before, and I think it's going to hit a little bit harder if we show it after, was the Green Room episode. I'm a member on timcast.com, and they got a decent amount of footage of Kanye and Milo and all of them, and just the day, and again, them talking about how they're not necessarily going to be diving headfirst into the controversy.
But then right away, sitting in the same studio I'm in right now, Thursday, bam, and I thought he was joking at first, and here's the deal. He pulled up in front of the office and got out of the vehicle in the GIMP mask. And so I didn't know what to say. And I said, pull your mask up. Let me see it's really you. And it was him. He puts the mask, he unzips the mask. And then it really creepy in person with the mask.
So Lefty Lucy says some Nazis were Jews. So that's a fair enough comment. What is a fair enough comment? That you like those were bad people who happen to be Jews. Nobody is saying that if you are Jewish, you cannot be a bad person. The point is, being Jewish, much like being black or being white, has no bearing on your morality inherently. There are good people who are Jewish and there are bad people who are Jewish. There are good people who are white and there are bad people who are white. There are good people who are Christian and there are bad. That's the point. So not a fair enough comment. I'm sorry, Lefty Lucy.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, really, I would see this as almost like a giant trolling operation, really. He was super high on adrenaline when he did it. He feels really good about it. And I don't think has a very good historical knowledge about World War II either. So, I mean, he really is in love with all of that design, which so much of what the Nazis designed ended up being brought over here with Operation Paperclip. Right. So if it's bad that Ye says he loves Hitler, then...
And if you didn't say it, he did say it like that. I love... And what Jones is talking about in trying to bridge the gap and say, is there anything that I can take from what Ye said and piece it into some historical context that actually makes sense? Nope.
It's even worse than our own government brought tens of thousands of Nazis in at the end of World War II to run most of the major agencies. So,
sure.
Both
are bad, but I did notice that you tried to bring in the concept of I'm trying to remember the term Hitler. The man, was it the man yet to come? What was the man to come?
The coming man.
The coming man. And I remember, yes, exactly, the coming man.
See, no, because this is Nazi is not an inherent trait, right? So when we can say there are good people who are Jewish and bad people who are Jewish, there are good people who are white and there's bad people who are white. You can't say that about Nazis because you choose to be a Nazi, and being a Nazi comes with an ideology and a value set that is inherently bad. What is the ideology or value set that comes with being Jewish or being white or being black that inherently makes you good or bad? You can't possibly think that Nazis are in the same category as a race or religion. That can't possibly be your position. Hey, we got Jimmy the Drunk in the building. What is good? What is good? Says, what's next for Kanye? A Dahmer tattoo on his face? It would make a lot of sense. And I don't know. I don't know what's next for him. I think that he's definitely going to be able to ride this wave for a little bit. But we know that he's got a lot. He's got some money issues. The IRS is coming for him. And I heard people talking about how they think that all of this behavior might be him trying to set himself up for when inevitably he goes to court for the IRS stuff, the tax stuff, that he is coming from a position of not being mentally stable and clearly showing it to the point where, he might give him some favor. I don't know exactly how that works, but Frankie just says, collaborating Jews who save themselves at the expense of others, most of whom ended themselves after the war. I don't know what you're responding to, but moving on.
Man, sorry, forgive me, but it's something with which I'm familiar. And I remember you asked a very pointed question. You said you don't want to be that coming man. And it was very clear to me that regardless of where people line up here on any of this, and of course I'm anti-Hitler, and I know that you are, and I'm really glad the Allies beat the Nazis, he was not familiar with that. And so it does concern me that if he's going to go out and make these statements, were you concerned sort of understanding or being around his close inner social circle that they really aren't doing a good job in ensuring that he's informed when he goes out and discusses these issues?
So Frankie brings up a great point about Kanye kind of basing his beliefs on faulty science and half-truths. And I think Jones even says it in the interview, that he has like a second-grade understanding of the Holocaust and all that stuff. And it's very clear. It's very clear. And when you have that much money, when you have that much power, then you can just go out there and get as far as Timcast, as InfoWars, as he was just on Gavin McGinnis's channel. You can get as far as that, spouting crazy shit. We got I am in the building. What is good? What is good? Said, I'd love to hear the details, Frankie. Yeah, let us know. Let us know. James says, imagine having to spend a couple years acting crazy in hopes of dodging an inevitable debt. Yeah, I mean, not a great position to be in. But, I mean, would we rather that he is doing that or that he actually thinks these things? I don't know which one's worse. Because one is just a comment on how rich people live by different rules, and one is something entirely different.
Choose.
He is very forceful and has a big personality, and it's really hard to get a word in edgewise, kind of like Trump. And people think I have a big personality, but I'll actually be quiet sometimes, and I'm not putting him down for that. He was like a whirlwind. You couldn't shut him up. He was going to say what he was going to say, and I was bringing up historic, real things about the Nazis that my family, who were in World War II, told me about. Oh, that's true. We saw that in Germany, or we saw that in Italy. Again, both my grandfathers almost died, both of them World War II. I almost don't exist because of it. And they talked about what the Nazis were like. And my mom's dad also worked on some black budget weapons programs in the 50s and 60s, and just said that he'd been at some military bases that had Nazis on them, and they were very, very arrogant. And he didn't like having to work with them in some of these programs. So I'm like 8 years old, hearing my grandfather in Austin, Texas, sitting around the kitchen table bitching about Nazis and working on secret weapons programs and how arrogant they were and how much he hated the government bringing them in here. So that's a real thing that's going on. So my dislike of Nazis really comes from my grandfathers, who both didn't like them very much.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. What was it when you had, obviously there's the numbers aspect because he's a huge name right now in the media. What was it that you were looking to achieve, or what were you hoping would be the end goal? What would be the ideal scenario with this interview with Ye? Because obviously it went viral across the media, but bringing him in, what were you hoping was going to come of it?
Well, while I was listening to you do a great job of breaking down that this whole Hunter laptop thing and the Twitter files are a lot bigger than just Hunter Biden. It's everything they've been censoring. I was thinking, what do I want to say about Ye first? And it's just this. I really thought I could come in here and shut up at first and let him get it out of the system, even if he did it. Right. I was saying, hey, let's do something different. Let's show him your intellectual side. Let's get into a bunch of issues. And I had all these issues in front of me.
And this is why I gotta put that. I gotta get that banner again. This is why you platform everyone. This. All right, I'll do it. But this is exactly why you platform everybody. You need to understand where these views are held and where these views come from. If you silence them, they don't disappear. They just go underground. The establishment type people have this out of sight, out of mind mentality that, well, if I'm not hearing it, it's not happening. Well, if you think that somebody spouting this anti-Semitism is so dangerous, which I'm not saying they're not, I'm just it's speech. If that's what you think, then why would you want to push their views underground to where they can actually spin out of control? Wouldn't you want them in the spotlight so that people who agree with you are able to respond? Makes sense to me.
He goes, why don't you just set those aside? We're not getting into that. I was like, okay, he's letting me know he's in control. And so I figured after an hour at least he would let me kind of then bring up some topics I wanted. But you kind of had the salacious crumb, the baby Hitler of Nick Fuentes over there.
He called him baby Hitler. Oh, man. I had a good, whatever. But baby Hitler. Nick Fuentes.
You know, that was a joke Jimmy Kimmel made. Like, where have I seen this before? And I'm Jabba the Hutt, and there's a salacious crumb sitting there. But seriously, I didn't know that Nick Fuentes was really a Nazi lover.
Yeah,
I'd had him on over the years 3 or 4 times whenever he was being debanked or censored, and he would be like, "No, I'm not a Nazi. I just care about white people's rights."
And I think that is way more in line with his actual position. Like I've been talking about, I think that he just sees the opportunity. He sees the political and career opportunity of attaching himself to Ye, and good or bad, it raises Nick's profile. And so this Nick is in a position. First of all, he was already in a position where he was calling himself a white nationalist. So the fact that he can ride along with this, and at whatever point it gets too extreme for the general people, he can decide to distance himself if he wants to. I mean, career-wise, makes sense to me. Lefty Lucy says in Europe they do what? I said a lot of things. You gotta be more specific. It's a jail term offense to question the Holocaust. Open discussion hurts nobody. At least in the USA, you can still do it. Exactly. Completely agree. And that is why freedom of speech is so important. Agree with you there, Lefty Lucy. Salty says, why does Alex Jones look like the guy who yelled, "Stop putting chemicals in the water. It's making the fucking frogs gay"? Because he is.
So I think this whole thing was
and he was right, kind of. He was turning them. It was turning them hermaphroditic and not gay. But he was right. They looked it up on Rogan.
Real coming out. And I'll be honest with you, especially with the Fuentes thing, and I'll still have Fuentes on. I believe in the First Amendment. But there's a real creepy factor with this Hitler stuff. And then I also noticed that Richard Spencer came out and said, "Yay, blew Jones away," because Jones is really controlled by the liberal narrative that Hitler's bad. But those of us that know the dark, powerful beauty of Hitler and of the darkness and of the strength, and it's like, some homoerotic, thing over Hitler. That is kind of what's going on. There's this Hitler fetish, and no, I'm not into dudes in fancy, peacock military uniforms that, by the way, got 22 million Germans killed. So the biggest killer of Germans in history, if you like Germanic people, and I'm basically half German, have a lot of German roots, is Hitler. Hitler was a disaster. Hitler was an occultist. Hitler was a pedophile. Hitler was horrible. Screw Hitler. Burn in hell Hitler. And the left uses Hitler to push their communist agenda that is basically just as bad and authoritarian to call all of us Hitler. And so people are so sick of being called Hitler, they go, hey, if Hitler's so powerful, let's just say we're with Hitler. And that's what these people are doing. And I felt like I was sucked in to a giant publicity stunt.
A publicity stunt. Again, we are hearing this language of a setup. But definitely the fact that you have Alex Jones coming out to have to disavow the views of the most famous rapper is just blowing my mind. Lefty Lucy says you can get old clips of Alex Jones shouting bloody murder about the Jews. He's changed his rhetoric these days. All right, well then, good for Alex Jones. I don't have an issue with people changing their minds. I have an issue with people being wrong and not being open to the fact that they could be wrong. That's it. I mean, if you used to be super racist, if you used to be super liberal, if you used to be super alt-right, whatever. I'm not saying that if you've espoused, like if you were, perfect example. We have Alex Jones here. I'm not saying that the Sandy Hook stuff was okay. I'm just saying that it takes a lot to make Alex Jones look normal. He sounded exactly like Kanye a decade ago. Well, that's why. Oh, and how has that worked out for Alex Jones? Don't you think that because he has changed his rhetoric, he is in much better standing? Do you think he's changed his ideas? Because what did you say? He's changed his rhetoric these days. Do you think he's changed his ideas? Or do you think he's just changed his rhetoric? If he's actually changing his mind on things, but generally has the same idea that there is, this Jewish cabal controlling everything, go down the list, then I can really only go on what people say. And so when you are, when you're YouTube and you're going to ban anybody who says things that you don't like, and people think things that you don't like, but they're not saying the things that you don't like, well, I can't do anything with that. I can't do anything with that. Eminem says Jones has shot his load and he is desperate. Well, that's definitely why he brought I was gonna make a joke, but that's why he brought the GIF on. But that has a lot more to do with his more recent battles. And a person like Alex Jones, who I don't follow very closely at all. I don't follow him at all, but I know of him because of people like Tim Pool and Joe Rogan. They both describe him as the kind of person who will throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. And when you do that, that is why the idea of an Alex Jones was right jar, where you have to put $1 in every time Alex Jones was right, doesn't mean that he is a great person to listen to. It just means sometimes he's right. So it's worth listening when something is happening. The very first thing that I said when I started covering this with after the Timcast episode was that something is happening. I can tell you that for sure. And I was right. I didn't know what, but it is still going, and it is definitely not done.
Now, I'm not mad at either person. I understand that they probably even believe what they're doing, but no, I saw a whole bunch of programs like the Young Turds and all of them say Jones is just mad.
He said the Young Turds.
They let the secret out. Jones likes Hitler. No, I hate authoritarians. I hate communists. I hate Xi Jinping. I hate Hitler. I hate Mao Zedong. I hate Joseph. Stalin. I hate Fidel Castro. I hate Hugo Chavez. I love George Washington. I love Thomas Jefferson. I love American strength and freedom and power and Christianity and open societies and capitalism and free speech. And I want it back now. So,
well, thanks for clearing that up.
Burn in hell, Hitler and Stalin and Mao. Burn in hell. This is what I told Piers Morgan. Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. And if you try to take our guns, 1776 will commence again.
You are my yay right now. See, I'm you and you're yay. See, I think you have some empathy for what I have to do sometimes when you're. By the way, Alex, don't do that thing where you Monday morning quarterback and take credit for it. Hitler was already in hell burning before you said that. That's right. Okay, that's not because you called for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But no. Look, I understand exactly right. At first, I thought you were going to say the biggest killer of Nazis were the uniforms, because that's how we went in. I thought you were going to say like the Hugo Boss uniforms were made of asbestos. But no, I agree with you. And here's the thing: you have people trying to defend it, saying, well, and there's validity to this. Kanye West said, "I love everybody." He didn't say he hated anybody. He said, "I love Jews. I love Hitler." But he did go out of his way to.
So this is Lefty Lucy. This is kind of your point that you're making. So let's see if you can piggyback off of the steel man that Crowder's putting forth, and let's see what you got.
Praise actions of Hitler while condemning actions
I'm gonna
of
back that up
Jews
a little
in this
bit.
sort of general monolith.
Let's see, because he's saying he wants to give validity to it.
Buddy, he didn't say he hated anybody. He said, "I love Jews. I love Hitler." But he did go out of his way to praise actions of Hitler while condemning actions of Jews in this sort of general monolith. And he did actively deny the Holocaust. So to act as though it was an equivalency of "I love everybody," that's not what happened with that interview. Now, if people out there want to say, hey, he has every right to love Hitler, of course. And if you say, I agree with him when he says he loves Hitler and that the Holocaust didn't happen, fine.
Then you're a fucking creep. I'm sorry, but convince me, change my mind. Brady says, can we get Lil Wayne to weigh in on this at this point, or Eminem, someone who is at least entertaining? Juice says, I'm just saying it's a gray area, far from black and white. So what exactly? This is where I got lost when we originally started talking about it. What exactly is a gray area? I'm not really sure what the actual claim is. I mean, besides Kanye specifically stating that he loves Hitler and the Nazis, which is pretty black and white for me. Other than that, what is a gray area? And what is it that he said, or whether he said it or not, in this area, what is it that he has hit on that you're like, yeah, I agree with that? That's the part I don't get. That's the part I don't get. So if you would like to elaborate, I would love to hear about that.
But to act as though there was this equivalency, on your show in its totality, sure, he said he loved everyone, but he did have specific praise for some totalitarian dictators.
Well,
and
he said, I love Hitler. I think he had an orgasm over there.
Well, that's just how he sounds when he raps. I love Hitler. Huh? But it was one of those things where, let me ask you this.
Okay, so Lefty Lucy says, we read history written by the victors. It's always going to be a gray area. Do you think that Hitler had a good way of conducting politics and geopolitics? Let's start there. Based on what you know from the history that we're only reading from the victors. Not that we had their murder trials or anything like that. But do you think that facts, Frankie? But Lucky Lucy, do you think that Hitler did a good job of not only having the ideas that will lead to a flourishing society, But do you think he took those ideas and implemented them in a good way? And I'm specifically using the word good to be a little bit ambiguous because I want to hear what you think of as good and all that. So do you think his ideas were good for a flourishing society? And whether or not those ideas were good or not, do you think he did a good job of spreading those ideas? Those are the questions that you need to answer if we're to have an actual conversation here about the gray area of Hitler, Nazis, the Holocaust, any of that.
You think that ultimately it kind of ends up hurting? It kind of ends up hurting people who are out there advocating for free speech when we're saying we are not Nazis, and the guy goes out and just puts on a mask and says, actually, I do love Nazis, and actually the Holocaust doesn't happen.
You think? You think? That doesn't mean that we should not platform him, but it certainly makes us look bad.
Does make it hard for people out there because, look, you're a lot of things, Alex. An anti-Semite is not one of them if people have looked at you historically. I don't even think many people have leveled that accusation against you. If anything, you've seen anti-Semites, people who legitimately hate Jews. And I don't mean people who don't believe that we should be sending a bunch of money to Israel. I mean people who legitimately hate Jews have accused you of being controlled Jewish opposition for a very long amount of time.
Really? I did not know that.
So,
well, that's the thing. And here's the deal. I don't like MS-13, but I'm not against Central Americans. I don't like the new Black Panther Party that's like a black KKK, but I don't blame black people. So Jews are a very diverse group for anybody that actually studies politics and geopolitical systems. There's a whole bunch of factions in Israel constantly fighting with each other and assassinating each other. The Jews over there have some of the most draconian, vaccine rules in the world. If they're so special.
That is true. A great comment here says, actually, time solves who writes what. History does not look at Stalin in a positive light. Hitler turned Germany into a lapdog, the world's laughingstock. I mean, they won, kind of, in certain ways. But I like Frankie D's comment. It's written by the survivors. And the fact is, when we're talking about the Holocaust, we're not talking about Genghis Khan. We're not talking about Jesus Christ. We're not talking about anything. That the fact is, we're talking about a historical event, which there are still people alive today who experienced it. So unless you are calling Holocaust survivors the victors of World War II, then Frankie's got you beat. History, certainly, when it comes to the Holocaust, was not written by the victors. I mean, maybe, the Allies literally produced the books. But there's overwhelming testimony over the last 100 years. Wow, you're one of those. So every Holocaust survivor is a liar. You ever heard of Occam's razor? Because that is ridiculous.
Why do they have all that? So it's really not true. Are there powerful mafias? Are there powerful groups in Hollywood that happen from a certain group? Absolutely. And do we see those groups supporting leftist garbage in the media? Am I irritated by those groups? Do I like the ADL trying to take our free speech? No, I'm a big critic of the ADL, and they singled me out at their big events just 2 weeks ago with the head of Pfizer and 2 years ago with Sacha Baron Cohen saying, I'm evil, I'm dangerous, I need to be silenced. But there's all sorts of groups trying to silence my speech, not just the ADL. So,
hey, we got Tyler Smith in the building. What is good? What is good? This is the worst thing someone could do is fuck up your burger order. Oh, man, I am sorry that happened to you, friend. I am sorry. I know that is a serious thing. We're talking about some silly stuff here, but when you bring up serious stuff like this, we're going to stop the show and make sure that you're okay. Glad to see you, buddy.
It's really what it is with these groups is.
And by the way, to be clear, just so people don't say, when we say these groups, we mean anti-freedom groups, and we do not mean Jewish. Just to be clear, George Soros is a second-generation atheist. Okay, let's be clear about that. So
that's what I just said.
Yes.
I'm being 100% clear, but at the same time, I'm not saying you're doing this. I get you have to because they'll lie. I'm not tiptoeing around this. What I'm saying is, I am critical of all of the anti-free speech, pro-tyranny groups. You know, last time I checked, Tim Cook's not Jewish. He's working with communist China to suppress their people. Last time I checked, Xi Jinping's the biggest dictator in history. His communist regime, going back to Mao, has killed more people than Hitler ever thought about.
Hey, you remembered it.
They estimate 100 million. So, but again, I don't dislike Asian people. My sister is Korean adopted, and I love her. When I was 14 years old, we adopted her from Korea when she was 6 months old. I love my sister. I love Asian people.
Didn't know that either.
But I am scared as hell of Xi Jinping and his 50 million man army, and I'm definitely upset about it. And so, again, if there was some country with 1.5 billion Jews in it, and they were promoting freedom and like America used to be, I'd try to go move there. But if there was a...
Guys, I was just going to ask you to like the video, but everybody here has liked the video. So thank you so much. You guys know how much that helps. You know how much I appreciate that. Thank you.
Country of 1.5 billion Jews promoting world government and death camps and forced injections, I would say I'm against that regime, not because they're Jewish, but because it's authoritarian. Same thing with Xi Jinping. I mean, it is...
So what you're telling me, Alex Jones, look at that still. What you're telling me, Alex Jones, is that the way that you treat people and think of people is based on their actions? Unlike Ye, who just has something in his mind about the Jews and then follows it. Who's the normal one again? Oh, neither of them. Well, Ye made this guy look normal. Frankie says the JDL, Jewish Defamation League? Is that a thing? Will certainly have a say in protecting their people. I'm going to guess that has something to do with that. I don't know what the JDL is, but agreed.
Is the most evil regime in history. It is our main foe. We are in grave danger. Yeah. And again, nobody says, "Oh, you don't like Xi Jinping because you don't like Asians." It's all a fraud.
Yeah, I hate the Communist Chinese Party because my heart goes out to the Chinese people. I think Gerald.
Yeah. I said shit. Me too. I am the Indian Jesus, but I am half Chinese.
Gerald has a question for you, and I appreciate you taking the time because I know that was a tough seat to be in, Alex. There was a moment on your face where you looked like the Boom Goes the Dynamite kid, where you were like, tell that you wanted a break. I've been there. All right, Gerald, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I just wanted to dive into the Christian thing just a little bit because people.
Thank you. I am.
People are conflating this Christianity thing with people on the far right that espouse these anti-Semitic views, and even Ye said, I love everybody. Well, and you said it too.
Do you though? Can you really claim to love everybody if you're championing somebody who literally attempted genocide?
You said not that you love everybody, that you're a Christian, right? Just declaring like, I am a Christian, I don't like these things. Christ said he loved the sinner but hated the sin, right? He always called people out for their sins. Just to be clear, did Kanye call Hitler out for any of his sins on your show?
Well, let's be clear, and that's what Kanye didn't get, which is why I'm not trying to put him down, but I don't think he has a fifth-grade education about the Nazis. And I'm going to try to meet with him again and actually show him some real history from Hitler's own writings. Because Hitler was anti-Christian. Hitler was an occultist. He wanted to eradicate Christianity. Some of the top Nazis in the party did. Now, later, when he took the country over, did some Nazis wear crosses on their shirts? Absolutely. People mixed it together.
So Lefty Lucy says, against oppression, yet they both support ethno-state. Yeah, there's a lot going on, Lefty Lucy. So you're saying these random things. If you could be a little bit more specific, again, you had what was the other one? Oh no, so you did answer that one. But with the proven liars thing, I was asking you if you are saying that every Holocaust survivor is a liar. And then when you're saying this, I don't know what this means. So what is or who is against oppression? Who is they? And if you could be a little bit more specific, then we can have a conversation.
It's like
Right.
you might have a Texas thing and then an American flag thing or an Army thing.
Right,
Or,
they co-opted it.
Yeah. They co-opted it. And sure, the Catholic Church was taken over by the Nazis. I mean, they ran Italy, they ran Germany, so they went along with it. I'm not defending the Catholic Church, but the idea that
Hitler
was a
me
Christian,
too.
or that Hitler was born a Christian and all this stuff. Adolf Hitler was a deep occultist in his own writings, in his own words. That's why they used runes in their uniforms. Everything he did was about, once they had a worldwide Aryan master race in control of all the slave races, the Ubermenschen over the little slaves, the supermen over the slaves, they were going to eradicate Christianity. They wanted earth worship, blood of the soil.
Worship.
If you want to see what they did, there's footage now on Twitter of Ukrainian Azov battalions cutting themselves, getting in a tomb, a 6-foot grave, bleeding into the blood, getting out, hailing.
So before he goes on with this, I do want to just make it clear that I am not an Alex Jones fan. I am not somebody who listens to Alex Jones. I'm not somebody who supports Alex Jones. I am looking at, as we do on this channel, we'll take a conversation, we'll take a debate, we'll take whatever is going on, and we are judging it based on what we can see. Because clearly you are quite familiar, or at least more familiar than I am, with Alex Jones and his rhetoric and what he says and all of that stuff. So I'm not saying I don't have anything to push back against what you're saying here. I just don't think it's really relevant to what we're talking about, and how the fact that Ye being on the show has created a cultural moment. That's really what I'm interested in. The fact that Alex Jones did this, and even going further back, what the Jews did here and what the Israelis did here in Palestine, that honestly doesn't really interest me. It just doesn't interest me at all. And unless you can tie it directly to why people are against Jewish individuals on its face today, then we can get somewhere. Fair enough. Enjoy the show then. So where does he does a lot of reading. He does a lot of reading. It's crazy. And that is why I say I'm not a fan and I don't trust his word. I would definitely, if Alex Jones says something, there's a couple other levels before I'm going to accept what he's saying. But it's not that he just makes shit up. It's not that he just pulls shit out of his ass. He's reading things all the time and trying to connect dots. Many times he will connect dots that aren't there. But sometimes, like with Podesta and like Italian Food Gate, I don't even want to say it. He was on point. He was talking about Epstein decades ago. So, he reads a lot. Frank says, wait, Hitler and the Nazis were anti-anything? I find that hard to believe. I was WWE? What? The fuck are y'all talking about? Yeah, I agree with that, Lefty Lucy. I don't think Alex Jones is anybody specifically to be listened to and taken seriously as a source for news. The reason that we're talking about him is because a cultural moment happened on his show. And I've but since we've been covering this, or since this has all been kind of happening, I've been looking at Milo as the one pulling the strings, and then they kind of they separated ways. So I'm interested in how society works and how all of the things that we are seeing, how they came to be, and what that means for the rest of all of us taking in news information. Frank says, Hitler was in fact an atheist. Yup, stated in his own writings. He did say religion was useful to keep the masses happy as long as they were serving the state. Y'all making me agree with this motherfucker Hitler. On that point, that one point, he was correct. That doesn't mean I'm going full yay. I'm just saying, if, ironically, being the Christian man that Ye is, if he would talk about that and talk about how there was that was the benefit of Hitler, I mean, you could spin that, but when y'all saw it.
You know who, but they hail Odin, and then they go over and put their hands on Odin. They've all got swastikas on their arms. That's a real blood and soil Nazi ritual that Hitler invented, that the SS did. So when you see the Azov Battalion, they're doing SS rituals. They're not Christian.
Those are the people in Ukraine.
Co-opted Norse, Germanic, Viking religion mixed with the Nazis.
Yeah, one of the other reasons that I know these groups are not Christian, Alex, is because the entire Bible from the very beginning to the very end is God's redemption plan for us, but specifically the Jewish people, and God is not done with him. He promises them an opportunity to come back and have a final chance. That's the entire book of Revelation. Most of the Bible is about the redemption of the Jews. And so for anybody out there to espouse Christianity and say, I'm anti-Semitic and that this stuff wasn't bad, they haven't read the book. They are not amongst us. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. And by the way, my final point on this was,
and before he gets to that, that is why so often I talk about why not only does religious and dogmatic language not belong in the context of politics, but also that people who use religious language in the context of politics often are muddying the waters, because when I say God, you think of something very differently. Maybe not completely differently, but certainly not exactly the same. Very differently. You get a very different idea than the person who's sitting right next to you in the pew on Sunday morning. And so I just don't think that it is relevant. Hey, we got Divine Rod in the building. What is going on? Happy birthday to my number one fan, number one supporter. Not one thing. All right, that's a long bit. Not one thing can go up on this channel that doesn't get a like, a comment, a share, something and everything from Divine Rod. So shout out to Divine Rod. Thank you so much for all of the support, and I hope you have a fantastic, fantastic birthday. And the fact that you're spending it with me means even more. Welcome, brother. Welcome. We are talking with Alex Jones about,
talked about the history.
I'm going to back that up a tiny bit.
These groups are not Christian, Alex, is because the entire Bible from the very beginning to the very end is God's redemption plan for us, but specifically the Jewish people, and God is not done with him. He promises them an opportunity to come back and have a final chance. That's the entire book of Revelation. Most of the Bible is about the redemption of the Jews. And so for anybody out there to espouse Christianity and say, I'm anti-Semitic and that this stuff wasn't bad, they haven't read the book. They are not amongst us. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. And by the way, my final point on this,
Lefty, I'm not sure about this.
Was you've talked about the history in World War II, and he's like, well, Hitler invented the microphone, and he did this, and he did this, and he did this.
Did he though?
He said highways and the microphone that I'm using.
Yes.
I think he maybe means the Autobahn. Like roads were around before
They
Hitler.
were, but I mean, his highway system, the Hugo Boss stuff, the rockets, I get all that. He doesn't mention the fact that he did things that would make the Egyptians blush with the people that they killed to build the pyramids. I get it. Maybe aliens did it as well. But I don't think he understands how many people's lives were.
That's why they have to deny it. That's why there has to be a Holocaust denial component. And this is, first off, before I move on to this, because there's so much to unpack here, Alex, how do you think the press has covered it? And I don't mean you. I think that, I don't mean, of course, they'll try and tar and feather you, but I'm saying, do you think that the way the press has said that, hey, Kanye West, yay, on Alex Jones, went off and was very obviously incredibly anti-Semitic, do we think that in this case, was the press partially right? In other words, are they completely misrepresenting it? Or when you were sitting there, did you feel as though this is probably not productive for him.
Look, I like Kanye West. I like Ye. I think he really means well. I don't know if Nick Fuentes believes what he's saying and doing. Nick says a lot of really good stuff I agree with. Once I heard him endorse that he thinks Hitler's great, I lost a lot of respect for him because I
said, shit, me too.
Nick's really smart. And I'm not saying Ye isn't smart, but he's kind of a savant. And
this is a good point.
Has a lot of talent and stuff. And so, yeah,
that's a great point. Is that you have to understand your limitations. And sometimes when people have been so successful in so many different areas, it almost doesn't even make sense for them to think that they wouldn't be amazing at whatever it is next that they try. So, when it comes to making beats, when he was 20 years old, Kanye was king. When he started to get behind the mic, did his thing. Got into fashion. Married a Kardashian. Didn't mean to rhyme, but I don't know. I don't know how to rhyme with that. But I'm saying there's so many areas in which he's successful and he's good at what he does that it almost makes sense that he would think that, like, oh yeah, I could just be president without actually knowing much of what is involved, specifically on the back of the 2016 election and Trump being in office and all that. There is no question. There is no question that the political landscape has changed. It was weird enough when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California. And then, of course, Reagan was a movie star before that, but that's a whole different time. Celebrity wasn't the same thing that it was even when Arnold was in office. So you have to understand your limitations. You have to understand that I'm great at this, and this. I'm fucking awesome. But when it comes to that, it's just not my bag of tea. It's just not my cup of tea. And that will save you. And the fact that Kanye is surrounded by so many yes men, namely Nick Fuentes, who is in this space and knows what he's talking about and is able to, in many cases, as long as you're not saying that you love Hitler or the Nazis, you can easily twist a narrative around these very bombastic comments, and it's scary to see that he's got so much power, so much influence, so much money that even if he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, he can get the people around him, and that will take him far. And then again, that brings the question of, is it a good thing or a bad thing for people to be hearing these ideas? I personally obviously believe that people should be hearing these ideas. But some would say that just merely hearing these ideas is enough to drive somebody to violence. Again, I disagree with that. But Frank says, I love to talk about Jones. Not because I hate him, but it would be funny. I mean, can't disagree with that. Byron says, my buddies work at the Kardashian places. They say most of that beauty is Photoshop. Of course. The pictures, if you ever see raw paparazzi pictures of any of the Kardashians versus what is in magazines or on their Instagram, it's night and day. You have no idea the level of technology they put into Instagram apps and filters and that stuff. It's crazy. Crazy.
I think in the long run, Ye wants to be a big revolutionary, wants to hit the barbed wire, as he said. He said, you're Terminator 1, we're Terminator 10. And I just really think at the end of the day that that's not the case. The left have adopted so many of the actual Nazi tactics of control and their whole system of lockdowns. What you see in China, big groups of people, about the tens of thousands being marched together, being led by one Pied Piper in the whole white medical uniform. That's the real type ideology that the Nazis were striving for. And we know that Hitler And of course, Joseph Goebbels wrote about how this is public. They wanted to take over England and kill H.G. Wells and kill Bertrand Russell and others, because the H.G. Wells and Bertrand Russell had a competing authoritarian world government leftist model that the Nazis were competing with, and they saw themselves, as you said, as socialists, but a different brand of it. And so I happen to know for a fact that the left and the tactic, that's what George Orwell wrote in 1984 about. George Orwell.
He was literally about to say, not literally, but he was about to say my favorite phrase when it comes to this stuff: semantic obfuscation. Taking words and using them in a way that they're not meant to be used to confuse people. Listen to what he said. Bertrand Russell, by the way, was one of the first popular atheists.
Had a competing authoritarian world government leftist model that the Nazis were competing with, and they saw themselves, as you said, as socialists, but a different brand of it. And so I happen to know for a fact that the left and the tactic, that's what George Orwell wrote in 1984 about. George Orwell was number 2 in the propaganda arm of British intelligence in World War II. He'd been a communist before that in the Spanish Civil War and been a hero and heavily wounded. But then when he actually got at the top of the British socialist society and recognized that actually Stalin was being funded by the West, there was actually a war against the individual in the future, and that Hitler had been wound up by British intelligence, not run by them, but actually built up and given power and funding early by the big banks.
Imagine if Kanye was actually educated on his positions. And this is the type of stuff that he had to answer. Now, if you can present that idea and that ideology to somebody like Alex Jones, who knows a lot of what he knows, like him, hate him, love him, whatever, he knows what he knows. So if you're going to bring that forward and actually engage in the conversation, well then, hey, that gives you a lot of credit. When you just go and make a fool of yourself, yeah, you get the headlines. But then what? Then what? Man.
He realized that there was a global authoritarian system that operated under different names, but basically had the same goal: total power and control. And the reason I know that is not just reading 1984, probably 8-9 times, but I've read the...
Wow, so the poll is 50-50. Is Kanye trending up or down? Interesting.
Writings, the essays in several big compendiums of George Orwell right before he died in 1949. He finished 1984 in like 1947. But he died about a year and a half later. And so George Orwell had this view of it as well. He thought the Nazis were the ultimate evil. He fought them before World War II in Spain and against Franco. And then he later learned there was a more evil group of Fabian socialists, British intelligence, basically Spectre, what you see in the James Bond movies. James Bond is Spectre. And I'm not saying all of British intelligence, but that British empire.
So, I mean, we're getting into typical Alex Jones territory. There's only about 10 minutes of this, so we'll get through it. And then going behind the scenes to a Timcast members-only segment about the day that Kanye went to the Cass Castle. But this would have been such a better conversation if Kanye had anything to offer except the headlines. That's it. I mean, this could have been something. Even if I would wholeheartedly disagree with everything that Ye would say, I still want to hear it because I want to understand what people think. Lefty Lucy says, which is why they are using Ye for this. Who is they? Stops people reading genuine historians. Cole, Irving, Zundel, etc. Again, I don't know who they is, but nor do I know who those historians are. But if you'd like to elaborate, I would love to hear about it. Alex is definitely a madman. That is for sure. Ranger says, Jones starts off with a solid base of truth, then turns into a Muppet. Yeah, he just goes off, and he's got so many different things that connect to each other in his mind, and maybe 20% of those things actually connect. So it's just, you know, it's an interesting experience to listen to him.
Model that merged with America at Bretton Woods, and then America became the world empire at that point. That system is full spectrum dominance, where they want to control all the major groups and then play them off against each other in a Hegelian dialectic.
Can I jump in here with three things? First off, I do encourage people.
So before he does that, I want to remind you guys of the fact that we are having a contest in the Discord server. The Indian Jesus Discord server is open. It is free. The link is in the description, and there's a couple different ways you can read about the contest rules. But basically, if you just hang out and you be part of the community, you will get points, and whoever has the most points on New Year's Eve will get $100 and a free Indian Jesus t-shirt. So if you're enjoying this conversation and you want more of it, that is where you want to go.
People, no. I do encourage people to go and research, Orwell, and also, by the way, the Catalonians, because this is something where people try and use it as an example of successful socialism, right? In the 1930s, say, oh, anarcho-syndicate socialism. Go read what happened with Orwell and read how that collapsed and the kinds of pressures, and basically there were still factions of warring socialists, because I was taught that in university. I was taught that in college, that was a good example of socialism, which lasted all but under half a decade. The other thing is, Kanye West said, if you're Terminator 1, he's Terminator 10. I don't think he understands how progressively shittier the Terminator sequels have gotten after Terminator 2. So that's actually a compliment to you. But here's something else. Look, you and I, you know that I disagree with you on some things, and I agree with you on a lot, disagree with you on some. But I do think you're very consistent in your approach to what you believe morally to be correct and incorrect. Here's my issue with some of the stuff that's going on with Ye. And I don't believe there's hate in his heart. Like you said, I think that there's probably some ignorance, because, and the reason I hold out hope is I see him.
It took me a second.
He's very pro-life, and he talks about eugenics, and he talks about...
It's actually funnier. It's actually funnier if you spell it bagels. It's actually funnier if you spell it this way.
About Sanger and Planned Parenthood and the genocide that's taking place against black babies. But then he doesn't seem to draw the connection that is something, of course, that Hitler was incredibly enthusiastic about and permeated our abortion policies today.
Hitler said Margaret Sanger's book was his Bible. Look this up. And they used the Margaret Sanger and the Cold Springs Harbor, New York, Rockefeller-run eugenics laboratory as their defense at Nuremberg.
Remember that one of the first things that started this whole string of news that is Ye was him bugging the fuck out. I almost killed my daughter! I almost killed my daughter! Who was responsible for the rhetoric, the propaganda that you were fed your entire life that led you to believe that killing your unborn daughter was something that was acceptable for you to do?
Because it had been the Rockefellers and Margaret Sanger that helped set up the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute in the late 1920s, that then funded Hitler and was the brain trust of the Nazi race sciences. So what you said is 110% true. And that's what I would try to tell him also once we got off air. So I'm going to try to meet with him sometime when he's not as manic. I'm going to try to explain to him.
Do you think he's manic? Can I ask you that?
Please tell me this isn't connected to Cheerios.
I know you're not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. Did you sense? I've had bipolar people in my family. And he has said that he was diagnosed with that. Did you see maybe perhaps some signs of mania? And this isn't concern trolling, because I really hope he has people around him who are helping him and care about him.
No.
Quick aside, I hate that term. Another semantic obfuscation. Concern trolling. I remember the first time I heard it, I was legitimately concerned about somebody. And of course, it was in the midst of a Facebook argument. And it's like, you will just do anything to make this conversation something where I'm a bad person and you're a good person. Even though you're being a piece of shit to me. And I'm saying like, hey, whoa, let's be friends. Let's figure this out. Oh, now you're going to concern troll? Like, what? I don't even know what that means. Oh, yeah? Now you're dumb trolling. now you're, or some shit like that. It's like, go outside. Get off of Twitter for 5 seconds. This is why you think that everybody is against you. This is why you think that everybody is out to kill you. This is why you think that every little thing can turn into the biggest deal in the world, because all you ever do is live through your fucking phone screen. Go outside. Go talk to a person. And you will realize that microaggressions are not that big of a deal.
I mean, I don't think he's mentally ill. I think he's enjoying himself.
Oh, he's definitely mentally ill. That does not mean that he can't be enjoying himself, but absolutely, he is diagnosed mentally ill.
You know, they have all these diagnosis terms. I mean, I'm pretty manic. I have a lot of energy. You know, so does anybody that's successful. I don't know, but he did seem to be very, very. People can go to Infowars.com, because remember, I'm more censored than anybody else out there. They can go to Infowars.com, and they can also go to band.video and find the full interview and actually see it for themselves in context. I can't.
And we definitely weren't going to do that. And that's why I showed you guys what I showed you before, because that, you know, I want to be fair. For a 3-hour conversation, if we're only getting, you know, maybe a grand total of 6 minutes of content and clips, then, you know, it's not going to make me go and sit and watch a fucking Alex Jones interview. But, you know, want to get some context.
Bring myself to go watch it again because I can't stand watching myself. But I watched a lot of excerpts, and I just think what happened was he decided to go all the way. He decided to try to be as shocking as possible.
He went all the way.
Say screw the world, and then once he started pressing on the dopamine button of saying the things he said, he just couldn't stop, and so it became. You know, just a situation of redlining the engine the entire time he was on.
That is I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. Is that maybe he didn't know that things would go this way. That would make a lot of sense to me. If he didn't plan for this to go this way, it would be very surprising to me if this was carefully planned. I think he wanted to talk about the things that he wanted to talk about, and beyond that, it was more about rolling with there we go. Hey, Frankie is joining the Discord. Word up. That is where we can go party hardy. You know how that YouTube censorship is something else. Yeah, I don't think Kanye had some grand plan. I think that he had inklings of these views, and he didn't really know what to do with them, and he's kind of just rolling with it. Going back to the idea that, like, oh, I think I'm good at everything because I've never been bad at anything before, so I'll just go with this. Barnrad said, according to attorney Robert Barnes, Ye may be setting up a defense for his pending taxes issue. That is exactly what I said earlier, is that it makes somewhat, a little bit of sense that, you know, exactly what Barnes said, that, you know, eventually he is not going to be able to pay this. So he is setting up a insanity defense. I don't think insanity works like that. I mean, I took psychology of law in college, and I remember the NGRI, not guilty by reason of insanity. And I'm pretty sure it has to do with whether you understand you are breaking the law or not if you just have some crazy thoughts. So, I mean, I guess good luck to him. You know, if it's between Ye and the U.S. government, then I will take Ye. In terms of who I'm rooting for. Diviron says, as far as I know, yes, the college was in America. Oh, okay. So, wait.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like that might be the case. All right. Well, look, I actually do want to ask you about some things that we probably have to discuss on Mug Club only. Let me just leave this one thing, because I do think this is important. Because look, we do know that you have many Jewish fans. I have many Jewish fans, and by the way, I don't just mean Zionists. I mean, there are Jewish libertarian fans who support Israel, certainly in contrast to Hamas and Iran, and people who want to wipe them off the face of the map, but think that we shouldn't be providing as much foreign aid. I don't believe that that's anti-Semitic. I do think it's important, and I think what happened.
No. This is a gross mischaracterization of the opinion that people have. Is this what you think is happening? That if somebody mentions Jews, that they're automatically insane? Because you have a gross misunderstanding of the situation. If that's what you think that either what Robert Barnes is saying, or if you think that that is what people think of Ye. That simply mentioning Jews means that you're insane. So no, that would be a weak defense. But since that's not what anybody's saying, not really relevant.
Happens is people are imprecise when they say Jews. It's very different from, for example, Black Americans, or if you, for example, you mentioned sort of people from Mexican Americans. Jew can mean a Jewish person can be Jewish by faith, meaning they practice a faith. They can be Jewish by ethnicity, and they can be Jewish by culture. And to lump them all in, there is a very big difference between, yes, I do think there's a conversation to be had about the secularists in the entertainment industry. And if someone wants to conflate that with anti-Semitism, what they're doing is saying, oh, is it because you're saying because they're Jewish? No. I'm saying for the same reason that there are plenty of non-Jewish people in the entertainment industry who are involved with grooming, who are involved with, by the way, the degeneracy of society. The only reason that there tend to be people who are largely atheist Jews in the entertainment industry, or for example, in banks, which compared to them as a percentage of the population is true, is for the same reason that there are plenty of Jewish doctors and scientists and Asian doctors and scientists, because they're very hardworking, industrious people who value studying, who value higher education, and who value those fields of work. We need to be clear.
So as he says, I don't believe that people are saying he's setting up a defense. Well, you don't believe that people are saying it, or you don't believe what? And then don't forget, I asked you a direct question. So on this channel, I'm happy to engage with anyone as much as you want. And if you're not looking for a conversation and you're just putting your thoughts out there, fair. But I'm not going to stop the show to continue to have a one-sided conversation. So it's up to you. If you just want to watch and give your thoughts, that's totally fine. But if you are looking for the conversation, then when we do have when I do have a question for you, I would respectfully ask that you do answer it. So again, the question was, do you think that people think that he's insane simply because he is mentioning just the Jews? So you said, I don't believe that. So if you think that if you don't believe that, then why did you say it? And if that is not what you meant, then I don't know what this means. And then you don't believe that Ye is crazy. I mean, again, that's a very vague word. It depends on what you mean by crazy. Does he have a diagnosed mental illness? Yes. Is he completely insane? Is he psychotic? No. So it could go either way there. People are saying this interview is a stunt to that's what Divine and Rob was just talking about, that Viva and Barnes were just saying that is a possibility. It doesn't make too much sense. I'm with you where I don't think that's what he's doing. But if I found out that was what he was doing, I would not be surprised.
When people are discussing these things, that there's a huge difference.
So let me elaborate on that before you switch to Mug Club, because I think this is very important. The left has wrapped itself in, we're Captain America, we're fighting the Nazis, and everybody else are Nazis on the side. That's made a lot of people get mad and say, okay, screw you, I'm a Nazi. I think that's what's happening with Nick Fuentes and people like Kanye West, Ye West. But I'll tell you, I've been attacked massively by the ADL, all these other groups, and they wrap themselves in, we're Jews, and then they attack me in the name of Jews which is then making a lot of people think, well, Alex Jones is good, you must be bad. So I know there are a lot of Jews out there, conservative Jews and others, that have sent letters to the ADL saying, leave Tucker Carlson alone, stop calling him an anti-Semite, it's not true, or stop calling Donald Trump an anti-Semite. It's preposterous. He's a great friend of Israel. And so it's the weaponization of the left that is actually...
The weaponization of the left of what? The weaponization of words and their meanings? What's another phrase that would encapsulate what that is? Is it something that I say all the fucking time? I'll let y'all answer.
Giving support to real Nazis by watering the whole thing down. It's very, 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 very serious. And the ADL knows exactly what they're doing. So I think people have a right to say whatever they want as long as they don't call for violence.
Yep.
I think if the Azog battalion's on there doing literal hit rituals on Twitter, Ye should still be on there. So I'm not defending any of the censorship, any of that. I'm just simply saying the left weaponizing World War II that ended 76 years ago, 77, however many years ago, is very, very dangerous. And the left saying at universities, the national news, you cover it more than anybody, that being white's inherently bad, and teaching courses on that is going to then make Nazis sound legitimate, because here's a bunch of leftist academics and Hollywood people, a lot of Jews.
Divine Red, do you have a timestamp or anything, or are you just saying in general, go through it and see if it's worthwhile? Because if you have some, if you have timestamps, I have one more short video for you guys, but we are running down the wire. Lucy says, anti-Semite argument falls apart once you find the definition of Semite. Okay, fine. I'll give you that. He's still being extremely bigoted against Jewish people. This is precisely what we're talking about when we say semantic obfuscation. We all know what is being referred to when somebody says an anti-Semite, or when somebody says something is anti-Semitic. We all know. But now we want to come in and, well, technically Semites are these people and coming from this place. Whether or not that is correct about, what the Black Hebrew Israelites think about the true bloodline and all of that stuff. To go on and say that you love Hitler and you love the Nazis does not overcome whatever argument you're making. Well, technically, it's not anti-Semitic. Okay, it's just fucking horrible.
Literally trying to teach the majority minorities, who are now the majority, that, white people who aren't a certain, a religious group, white people except Jews are all bad people. This is Hitlerian. This is racist. This is race-based politics by the other side. And I know almost all Americans, no matter what color they are, disagree with it. Almost all Jews disagree with it. But if we look at the media and just turn it the other way, it sounds like Hitler when they're on MSNBC saying white people are inherently bad, right, and it's going to be great when there's no more white people. That needs to stop. That is Hitlerian in the name of fighting Hitler. Do you see the psyop?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And also, where I've never heard that kind of rhetoric? I've been to many a synagogue, just to be clear. Many. Never heard that kind of hatred coming from observant Jews and Orthodox Jews, and I think it's important to delineate. It is Infowars.com. We're going to go to Mug Club.
So Frank says a Semite is a culture who speaks one of the Semitic languages. And Lefty Lucy says words matter, though. I agree with you. And if we as a society have the wrong idea of what is meant by Semite, that is a conversation we can have. That is a conversation I am very willing to have, because I say words matter all the time. I completely agree with you. But the fact is that when you say anti-Semite or anti-Semitic, the way language works is that there is an accepted colloquial definition. So if you are speaking outside of that accepted colloquial normalized social definition, and you choose not to say, I'm specifically talking about the actual definition of Semite and explain that, then it is on you. Unless you're saying something completely new and you're making up your own term, in which case you should still have to define what it means, then you either know what you're doing or you should know what you're doing. And if you don't, then again, that's on you. I agree with you. The language has been subverted. But the language has been subverted. So it doesn't matter what the actual meaning is if people are using, and it's not like I don't know, the term racism. That's just become that's a word that's been subverted. And so it's incumbent upon the people who are against that obfuscation to correct when people are using the word racism inappropriately. So if this is your hill to die on, then before you start defending Kanye, you need to start talking about what is the definition of Semite, and why that is relevant to the things that Kanye is saying, and why that excuses him from the understanding that we, the normal people, are getting from the message that he's sending. So yeah, the language has been subverted. But indeed, the language has been subverted. And Kanye knows that. So the last thing I wanted to show you was, again, a little jump back in time when they didn't even want to put this out. They didn't even want to put this out, but I am very glad that they did. This is from timcast.com. This is a day with Ye. I watched a little bit of it, but fuck it. Let's just dive right in.
I thought I was more Malcolm X, but I find out I'm more MLK, because as I'm getting hosed down every day by the press and financially, I'm just standing there. And when I found out that they tried to put me in jail, it was like a dog was biting my arm, and I almost shed a tear.
If nothing else, not just comparing yourself to MLK, who, Hitler and the Nazis would not have been a fan of. But to say, well, I'm either Malcolm X or MLK. I thought it was Malcolm X, but this manic savior victim complex all squished into one.
Almost, but I still walked in stride through it. Yeah. I think
what a brave man.
I think they've been extremely unfair to you.
Who is they though? We can't say they is, can we?
Press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking about
it is them though, isn't it? I mean, because
no.
because
is it though?
When you think about it, consider it. In 2018.
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about, are you leaving?
Are you afraid of the press?
He's gone.
I love that Serge said, "Are you afraid of the press?" Music, come on. All right, hold on. Actually, I think this is their own personal music. I don't think this is licensed music, so I think we're good. Of anything, I'm gonna have to cut this part out if it gets copyright claimed, and you guys will be the only ones who get to see it, which is exactly why you should always make sure you are here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern on the dot. I go live at 7:55. And at the stroke of 8 p.m., the show starts. So get your ass here. Shout out to Rumble. Shout out to Rumble for having way better sound than YouTube. I feel like it might even be too loud. Is it too loud?
Sit there when we do.
Private jet.
Someday I found out that
Get
Ye
the
was going to be our guest
PJ.
on Monday, and
So that's actually Tim's brother, if you all don't know.
getting a jet and wanted to do some behind-the-scenes footage of his trip and arrival. So I called Wesley up and asked him if he was in town, and he wasn't because of Thanksgiving. So then Aaron and I ended up having to quickly book a trip to LA.
So I get the call while eating my cereal on Saturday morning, and they say, "You're going to LA to meet up with Ye," and I said, "Excuse me?"
We ended up going to the airport in an Uber, but Uber dropped us off at the wrong building at the airport.
As we all know, the best laid plans never go the way you would want them to, so we had some transportation issues. None of the drivers wanted to go where we asked them to go.
We didn't actually realize it was the wrong building until like 10 minutes before the flight, which was supposed to leave at 9 a.m.
So maybe travel issues had something to do with it? Just trying to give him a lifeline?
Didn't really cause too much problems. We walked like a block away and got to the right building.
So we had to do some hoofing it to get to the right airport terminal, and we eventually met up at the airplane.
Then that plane ride was actually one of the best plane rides I've ever been on. It was way shorter. Didn't have to go through security. I got to keep my shoes on the whole time. It was like being in an Uber. We just kind of rode for 3.5 hours in a jet.
It was a pretty chill plane ride. I had my complimentary Fiji water in my cup holder, along with some Jack Link's beef jerky pieces.
Sponsored or not? All right, let's get to it.
Then we landed at the private airport and realized that the limo was not there. It was supposed to pick us up. It was actually at Dulles for some reason.
I just noticed that on the back of Milo's jacket, it's engraved or not engraved. What's the word? It has Ye 24 on the back. Right there, which is like both of them are supposed to be like these fashionistas. Bro, what are you doing? Looks like it was done at Lids. And then, of course, you have Nick Fuentes here, who is always buttoned up in a suit and tie, but hanging out with Ye. Gotta have my Ye approved hoodie, right?
You can't get the shoes at the all though. And I'm like, ah.
Again, this is before the show. This is when this was all happening as we in the audience in the world were thinking, this could be a very interesting conversation between Tim and Ye. Especially the fact that Milo and Nick are there. This could really turn out well. And then it turned out to be what it was.
Yeah, I did. No, it's good. I just need you to figure out what you guys need to figure out.
So we had to Uber. That was really weird. I remember the Uber driver was like in disbelief, like wait, I'm picking up Kanye West?
Is this us? If it's around 4, look at this. Is the Steve Williams champion? Yes, sir.
Milo asks me what time the show is, and I was like, it's 8 p.m. is when it goes live. Got to be there early to like set everything up and prep everyone. And Ye's like, I want to go to the movies. And I was like,
So again, looking at things that are a little off or things that point to the entire appearance being a setup. Weird.
Like, I don't want to acknowledge that he said that because like I'm trying to get him to the studio. Like we had like 3 hours until we had to be here, like deadline. Any movie's gonna be like 2 hours, and that's if
the movie starts right when we get to the theater. I did my best to like, how about we don't do that? Like we can go eat or something. Then Ye decided he wanted to go to TGI Fridays. I was like, really? Like we could probably do better than that, but whatever. So we call Uber, go to TGI Fridays, and then we see the hibachi place across the street. So we decided to go there instead.
Kanye West wants to go to TGI Fridays. Okay.
Said facility and Catholic theology, transcendental good of the why not?
So in case you're wondering, I don't expect this to unveil any super secret thing. This is just kind of like vlog footage. But again, I just feel like we want to see everything that we can see and see what we can see.
Yeah. So flexibility and facility. So the transcendentals are the things that are in all human souls that lead us to God. And we see a little bit about in that.
We're in this hibachi place that is completely empty. Like there's nobody sitting at a table anywhere near us. But somehow people keep coming out of the woodwork and noticing Ye was sitting at the table. He didn't seem to hate people taking pictures with him, even though he was trying to eat. But like he just started like people would be walking by like what was it? One guy called him Yi. He was like, Yi? Is that you?
Never smiles. Never, nary a smile on the face of Kanye.
What I really wasn't prepared for was how personable Ye was going to be.
It's good that we're having these conversations before. Should we go to the studio? Because we could go and just like basically shooting around. Talk to the host. Yeah.
At dinner, he wanted to talk to us. He motioned me over to get closer so we could have conversations. I was like, okay. And we talked about his campaign, and he was really easy to talk to.
Oftentimes when guests get there before the show, we'll hang out in the green room in the basement. We'll do drinks if you want them. Just general conversations.
They got a pool table?
Yes.
Yo, let's get it. There we go. Okay. Let's go. Well, that kicks.
I think he's surrounded by people who want to use him all the time. And he might get really tired of that. So I tried to be really genuine with him.
A slogan. Oh, I see. Well, I think it will emerge. There is, it's important to say officially no campaign at the moment. For legal reasons, it's important to say that. So if there were a slogan for some speculative future presidential campaign.
The first black president?
First president from Chicago? There we go. I'll cut you a check 50 bucks. I own that now, okay?
I'm the first Latino president.
So again, remember they were talking about how personable and how pleasant everything was before the cameras for the show were on. So they had, the vlog style camera just following them around, but obviously very different setup for you just to be hanging out with people, having dinner, and there being a camera there versus you being at a table where there's 5 people around you and so on and so forth.
I'll give you 50 bucks for that.
No, you're good, man.
Nick is half Mexican.
Real change?
Quarter Mexican.
He's half Mexican, half Irish.
Well, maybe we'll do that on the ballot somewhere. We'll do that on the. We'll have a referendum on the 19th Amendment, and we'll say yeah. This is like 4 months old, It's so bad now. There's a bill called.
That bad probably costs more than I do. You won't forget those.
Fucking goals, bro. Fucking goals. Where I'm going having hibachi with famous people just as part of my job. Just part of my job. With your help, we will get there. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff.
It's just terrible. I don't buy this stuff anymore after they post
After virtual passed.
Well, there is that now too.
Cannot buy
yes.
bags.
No, look. Since I listened to Donda 2,
yes.
I knew. But
okay, so you know what's up.
I know what's there. Don't try. I do my homework. No, I mean I don't.
Two white dudes talking about how well they know Kanye's music. Oh, you know Donda. Oh, okay.
I don't buy stuff new from there anymore, but I just sometimes get it as gifts. Yeah. I buy secondhand now because all the stores got raided, and then a day later they posted Black Lives Matter on their Twitter. And I'm like, okay, no, we're done.
Hey, we got a latecomer with Jeremy Lewis in the building. What is good? What is good? So Kanye has completely lost. That is a long soundbite. Kanye has completely lost me. I don't know how to feel about him anymore, bro. I completely agree. And after so you're definitely gonna want to check out the replay on this one because we talked to or we watched Alex Jones talk to Crowder about what went on, and it just further went to this idea that these two and Ye are on a tour of trying to make as many headlines as they can, no matter what those headlines are. So this is just the green room, a day with Ye, vlog footage from the Timcast IRL members only website. And again, I just want to make sure, you know, what on Alex Jones. Yeah, I was not going to sit through that. I was not going to sit through that. But the interview with Alex Jones and Crowder, you can catch that in the replay. And yeah, just wanted to watch this little vlog and see if there's anything else that we can see. Now that Tim has said that it seems like it was a setup, and Alex Jones said it was it felt like a setup. Just trying to watch, and is there anything that we see that will give us any more information? Hey, we got Mike W in the building. What is good? What is good? So Ye has had handlers all his life, and now he has Milo as one. Well, what? Not anymore, because they have parted ways. I don't know exactly what happened. Milo said it was a mutual parting. Laurel Loomer, not 100% sure who that is, but Laura Loomer, who I guess is in the know about this stuff, said that that Kanye fired him, and it makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense to me, especially with the thing that I thought with Milo pulling the strings to begin with. It makes sense that Milo, being the kind of person who's gonna try to dig up dirt on whoever, is going to try to do whatever he can to put himself in the best position and fuck everybody else, then, you know, I could see Kanye not being ready for somebody like that to be that ruthless. And then he saw what it was, and he was like, I don't want to fucks with that. I don't want to fucks with that. He knows that he's, Kanye knows that Nick is, Kanye knows that Ye is Nick's meal ticket. So he can trust Nick. Because if Nick fucks over Kanye, then that's it for Nick. But Milo, you never know. You never know. Yeah, that was the good one. So you never know. And it makes, again, it just puts a lot of things in context.
Because they broke the deal, you know? They broke the deal they had with us, which is kind of manufactured exclusivity thing, you know? They broke the deal with us, so I buy second hand, but people do lavish me with gifts.
I buy knockoffs.
I'd sooner be dead.
You really want to stick to him?
Right. Yeah. You got No, can we get him in, Paul?
When we were done, we loaded our stuff into the cars that were picking us up, bringing us to the studio. There was a
I just gave wrenches.
Heightened security and all kinds of stuff. Like it was a lot different yesterday.
You got the button. Okay. Yeah. A lot of people pull it. You can break the window.
Welcome. Yes, sir.
It's an honor and a privilege.
There you go.
We're gonna go up to the front. We can go walk the raft. Yeah, totally good. And then we're gonna go in. And, yep. Nick.
Hey. Oh, hey. What's going on? Thanks for coming. Good to meet you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Milo, of course.
Milo. Good to see you again, friend. You're right. Welcome.
So again, what's the energy? What's the vibe?
Everyone's super excited, man. Got a lot of fans.
A lot of people were there to like meet him and watch the show. It was supposed to be a big show.
So who do we got in the let me do this. Who do we got in the picture here? So that's Luke, that's Milo, it's Cassandra Fairbanks, Nick, that's Brett, I don't know his name, from Pop Culture Crisis, and of course is that Carter? No, it's not.
Let's get him some
vibes. What are the vibes like?
Right here, we have a living room. We can hang out. We have a fridge. You guys want anything to eat? Anything to drink?
Enjoy the show, kids.
This is for you guys.
Oh, we did. Thank you. I think his name is Wes, maybe. We definitely enjoyed that. Your buddy, you know, Brett. We don't have to talk about that in the panel. I'm very excited to hear about that.
There's 3 of you, so it's 1 box, but you know.
No. Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you.
How's your food?
Yeah, the fudge dip.
He just kind of like hung out, ate some popsicles, talked to people, looked around.
I got ice cream. It's pretty good. I got this stuff, which is just like strawberry and sugar if you want. It's pretty good. These are like on the Reddit probiotic shots. Do you have anything else?
We got candy downstairs. We got chocolate.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
He's good too.
I think you'd say no to that. Why do you guys have
I mean, Tim's a skater who rollerblades. He is not really an aggressive inliner, I wouldn't say. He can pull off some basic tricks, but even as somebody who myself was a skateboarder, and I had an older brother when both skateboarding and inline skating were equally as counterculture before, you know, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. My brother was an inline skater, and he was a fruit booter. I forget what they called the skateboarders, but yes, Tim Pool he's a great skateboarder from what I've seen. But you know, but fair enough. It is much easier, as he said. He likes sometimes to just, you know, hit the ramps and have a little fun and getting older. So fair enough. Pine pusher.
So these are good ingredient cookies that are like Oreos.
Yeah, and for my part, I was worried about how I was going to talk.
Other than that, well, honey.
Well, I mean, they all work all the time. Everybody loves you, man. So.
On time.
This time we got another senator happy on the show. Good point. It'll be a fun show. It's gonna be a lot.
No, actually, I was like,
Everything. Turn it on.
Apparently people said it's better, but I had no idea.
So nothing to, again, nothing to anything. We're seeing a lot of people just hanging out and seemingly having a good time. So, and this is right before the show that we saw. So what is going on?
We have like 20 minutes.
20 minutes. 20 minutes. That's a lot of people.
Then he kind of maybe got overwhelmed from like the amount of people that were here.
Never signed. That was the big issue with the two, you know, obviously Ye and Fuentes. Right? Is that supposed to be Fuentes? It's just supposed to be Milo. Doesn't really look like either one of them. But anyway, they always sign the pictures when they're done, and because they ran out, they didn't get their pictures signed.
You saw a picture with it. Ari's like holding them down.
So remember, Tim talked about how Kanye asked him, "How do I become president?" Then it could be, yeah. I really don't know who it is, but he talked about that a bunch, and he talked about how Kanye asked 3 different times, and most he didn't. Tim didn't take it as a serious question. It's like, you're riding with Milo. Milo knows way more about how to become president than I do. I'm just some guy who complains on the internet.
He's in a tough position too, so there might be a chance Twitter might even go down because of all the attacks against him.
There's trouble.
We'll see, man.
But we have to figure out how to communicate to the people, not on these media platforms, not on phones, but in the streets. We've got to do a grassroots campaign that like goes back to like before TV.
I used to do.
He said campaigns that go back like before TV, not hitting people on their phones, hitting them in the streets.
So life is really good. It's not as effective. I had an organization of 270 groups all over the world called We Are Change. And we used to do grassroots activism, flyers, banners, drops, like theater performances.
Shout out to Luke We Are Change. Go check out Luke We Are Change on YouTube, wearechange.com. He is somebody I greatly respect.
The street. The internet changed it. I mean, the internet's still the #1 way to reach people. I mean, you can give out so many flyers, but if you have your friend or a family member or your mother sending you a video, people are going to watch it. You know, it's a lot easier now. Everyone's online, not in the real world, sadly.
So compare, now we're getting a little something. Compare this conversation to how short Ye's fuse was when they were on air. He's, he's getting pushback. He's letting somebody else speak. Let's just take a little, just pop it right back. Just compare this to what you know of those 26 minutes on Timcast.
Like theater performances in the street. The internet changed it. I mean, the internet's still the number one way to reach people. I mean, you give out so many flyers, but if you have your friend or a family member or your mother sending you a video, people are gonna watch it. It's a lot easier now. Everyone's online, not in the real world, sadly. And if they are, they don't, their head is in the phone too much where they can't even pick up a flyer, right? So that's the problem.
It's gonna be fun. I'm not interested in talking about there's a lot of people who are like, Tim, you should wag your finger at them like right off the gate, and I'm like, wow, I don't care.
Except Tom. Have a real honest conversation.
Ironically, he's on his phone.
I can help people bridge the.
I just want to know what you guys are thinking.
I want to know how to become president.
Does it look like he's joking? Don't look like a joke to me. Let's do it again.
I can help people bridge the.
I just want to know what you guys are thinking.
I want to know how to become president.
And they all laugh.
Because,
but he doesn't.
It's
Milo seems to know.
I mean, like Elon didn't start off at Twitter.
Yeah.
When he came in, he got rid of 75% of it. These are the kinds of mentalities that need to go in. It's like politics is like how basketball looked before Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Politics is like how basketball looked before Michael Jordan. So again, that shows us that he sees himself not as only either a Malcolm X or an MLK, but he sees himself as a Michael Jordan. And sure, when it comes to rap and hip hop and all that, when it comes to fashion, sure, I don't know much about either one. But politics is a slightly different game.
And then Trump has shown you, okay, we can play the game in a different way. Or not that it's a game to be played or something. It's like, when I deal with the more like old school politicians that come on my campaign, it's like they're trying to force me to do it a certain way. And it's like I just relive the exact things I went through with music and exact things I went through with clothing and shoes and exact things I'm going through with making homes and now and with creating school curriculums and exact thing I went through with creating Sunday service. I'm like, it's the same thing. Which is
it though? This is exactly what I was saying. This is exactly what I was saying. He thinks that it's all the same. Those are all creative endeavors that have to do with you putting a vision or whatever that's inside you and manifesting it. When it comes to stuff like that, Kanye, yay, whatever the fuck you want to be called, you are amazing at it. But that does not mean that you can not only intellectually tangle with these issues, but it doesn't mean that you have the emotional fortitude to deal with what comes with trying to run for president. Again, as we saw with our own eyes.
Oh no, I was gonna the SIA Sunday service you did was fucking awesome.
Listen to that again. That was super insightful.
with clothing and shoes and exact thing on my campaign, it's like they're trying to do, okay, these are the kinds of mentalities that need to go in. It's like politics is like how basketball looked before Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trump has shown you, okay, we can play the game in a different way. Or not that it's a game to be played or something. It's like,
This is gonna be
when
fun.
I deal with the more like old school politicians that come on my campaign, it's like they're trying to force me to do it a certain way. And it's like I just relive the exact things I went through with music and exact things I went through with clothing and shoes and exact things I'm going through with making homes and now and with creating school curriculums and exact thing I went through with creating Sunday service. I'm like, it's the same thing. Which
Oh no, I was gonna the SIA Sunday service you did was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
And that's also
Why couldn't we have gotten that conversation, Kanye? Is it really that you were so out of it because the Timcast crew wouldn't call they the Jews? Seems like you're a guy who knows how to deal with, not knows how to deal with pressure, but is familiar with dealing with pressure. And the pressure that you've dealt with. Four guys kind of being like, what do you mean by they? Doesn't really seem like it's your limit.
Also why Trump was so popular. He didn't just pretend to be someone else that he wasn't. He didn't put on a suit when he went to the farms. He didn't put on an accent when he was talking to city folk.
He didn't put on a Balenciaga mask and go on Alex Jones and tell everybody that he loves Hitler and the Nazis.
All right, he didn't pretend to be anybody he wasn't.
People like you because you are. You don't change that.
Famous last words. Famous last words. People like you because you're authentic. Don't change that. I bet if Chris could go back and be like, well, maybe change a little bit.
The memes and the meme lords.
Is that the memes?
Yeah.
Not the memes, but the memes.
You gotta seize the memes of
Memes of production.
Oh, yeah. He was trying to jump on my head and his foot slipped and it got me. It was an accident.
That's a story.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to play pool or, I mean,
what'd you say?
do you want to play pool? We have like, we go up around 7:15 to the studio to get the cameras ready and
microphones.
Actually, Michelle is going to do the camera lighting and adjustments. So, you know, because Milo didn't make up because he thought.
You know, it's like, what I will say is, I'm like a hypersensitive human being. So I don't.
No. You're a hypersensitive human being? Kanye West? You're telling me. You are telling me that you're a sensitive person?
Do my best channeling in things that is like 40 people around.
People. Let's go to the studio. Just tell a lot of people. Let's go to the studio and we'll just all right. Sound good?
Is that weird, or am I just looking too into it? That somebody who's used to performing in front of giant crowds being like, oh, I don't do my best work in front. There was like 20 people up there, maybe? Am I just looking too into it, or does that sound like bullshit that he knew what he was going to do? He didn't want to interact with the people that he was going to fuck over. So he's like, I want to, get away from all that. Am I looking too into that? Does that make sense?
So he was like, can we just go up? Let's start prepping. Tim was like, yeah, okay. So they came up here.
I had a sense of unease about IRL.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't personally predict where it was going to go, but I didn't have that optimistic sense. I was a little worried, but I couldn't put my finger on it.
I think we all were. And nobody could predict where that went.
20 minutes later, like I was sitting in my living room watching it.
And then everything went south.
And he walked off.
He's gone. I'll say it right now. You guys want to bring that stuff up? And I'm
have the discussion.
Not gonna have a conversation.
Have the discussion.
Like you think Ye's gonna come in here and say, "Here's my pain, here's my suffering." I'm gonna say, "I hear you," and then he's gonna say, "And it was Jewish people," and I'm gonna be like, "Okay, but don't you consider?" So I'm not gonna do this. I refuse.
Make sure he's cool.
All right, go for it. Luke and I will have a conversation.
Gotta make sure he's cool. Gotta make sure he's okay.
So I can't say I'm surprised.
I ran out to where everyone was, where he was in the kitchen. Started talking to him, Milo and Nick, like trying to see, like, hey, what's up? Like,
so talking to him off camera, after the incident. Let's see, Chris, give us something.
Is he actually gonna not go back on the show? Are you guys not going back on the show? It's like,
see, okay, we got security footage. So we got Nick, Milo, Ye. You can still see that Tim is on air. I don't know who these people are, but this is them, and he's smiling. You see that? He's smiling. He doesn't look very upset.
When I saw that he was leaving the show, I kind of, what? And a few of us went out to try to see if we could get him back, but it didn't go our way.
I might want to go downstairs and see if we could get him back. I think it's worth a try. I'm
Go
gonna try to talk to him, see if we.
I'll
can
read
get him
super
back.
chats.
Yeah.
All right, so then Luke goes down. We see Luke over here. Looks like they've already left.
he was in a truck ready to leave, and Luke and I were like trying to convince him, like, hey, you can't just like walk out. You have to like when someone pushes on against your views, don't just get mad. Explain them, you know.
That is what needs to be told to the guy who is running for the president of the United States. When someone pushes against your views, you can't just run away You have to engage with it. Probably not the best candidate for president. Just saying.
He needs to explain what he means.
Right.
He can't just say, it's true. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Who are you referring to? No, I'm done. I'm leaving. It's like,
because you know what that would be? Just saying things. And we hate that over on this channel.
okay, then I assume you have nothing behind what you're saying. But I gotta say, man, if this, like, why would someone vote for this?
I tried telling him it wasn't good for his campaign if he ends it on that note.
I wish I could have had more time to talk to him. He's tired of playing within the established system, and I can respect that. There's a lot of red tape.
One of the funny things, he made an analogy to his truth. Like, I'm not gonna go on a show if someone's trying to tell me Taylor Swift's video is better than Beyonce's. It's just not true. I was like, what? I guess it's a big moment in his life, so something that everyone would
Hold up, I'm gonna let you finish.
understand, an analogy that everyone understands. He just wouldn't give in, wouldn't change his mind, and then they left.
This is the biggest challenge with dealing with identitarianism. I do not believe that the predeterminate factor in someone's worth, value, or agenda is based on immutable characteristics. Kanye is a black man. He does not represent all black people. There are Jewish individuals who work in banks. Dave Chappelle made the joke about Jewish people in Hollywood. And he said, but it doesn't mean anything. You got a lot of black people in first, and doesn't mean they run the place. The point is, me, I'm all about individualism, meritocracy, personal responsibility. That means an individual of any background can be capable of anything. More importantly, we have employees here who are Jewish, who spend time in Israel, and would probably agree with a lot of issues that they would talk about.
I know that things the media says about people isn't always true. People have written lies about me. Obviously, I believe in free speech. I'm actually glad that Tim gave him a chance to clarify the things he was saying, but instead he walked out. And I can't say I'm surprised. I kind of suspected it would go bad. I didn't even want to stick around. As far as I can see, he's felt this way for a while.
So those of you who are not familiar, this is, I want to say, Taylor Silverstein. She is a professional skateboarder. She got in with the Timcast crew because there was a skate competition where she got second place because the first place person was a trans female. And specifically in the sport of skateboarding, Tim talks about this a lot, so you can, I'm sure, find something on it, specifically with the episode that has her on it. That, you know, things like the angle of your hips and your center of gravity are very different for a male body versus female body. So, you know, just like in many other sports, that just a biological male coming over is not kosher. And so she spoke up about it and got canceled, essentially. But now she's working.
But I really hope that he doesn't feel this way forever. And I appreciate Tim standing up for me and for the other Jewish employees here at Timcast.
The issue is you can overcome anything. I understand, you know, and I empathize that there are powerful business interests that are coming at Kanye. Bro, if you live in a world where a single group of people is haunting you, you're trapped. You're not going to get out.
All right. So lots that is still happening with the Ye West situation. I think, you know, this is another one where we don't have too many new pieces in order to, you know, to tie some huge conclusion as to, oh, this is happening. This is what's going on. I've got it. I figured it out. Well, that's okay. That's okay, guys. What we're doing here is just talking about stuff that's going on. So if we don't have some grandiose meaning to this particular stream, I don't know about you guys, but I had a good time learning about what's going on and hanging out with you guys. And I just want to thank you guys for hanging out. So if you have not already done so, please hit the like button. That is the biggest thing. Apparently, I'm shadow banned again for being too fucking real. So if you could help out, hit that like button. You know, I would greatly appreciate that. You know, we are on the road to monetization. We are on the road to 1K, and I believe we can hit it by Valentine's Day. That would be how you can show me that you love me. Until then, if you would like, you could support the channel here, IndianJesus. I've got all the links for CashApp, Venmo, PayPal, Bitcoin, all that stuff in the description below. But you don't have to do any of that. It is completely free to just sit here and hang out with me. And that is what I appreciate the most. I appreciate you guys being here with me. So as long as you guys come and hang out and talk to me and watch the stuff that we're watching and challenge me, push back on me and all of that stuff, then this is going to continue to grow, and I am always going to come back for more. Thank you guys again so much. So even if you can't, even if you can't help out the channel monetarily, that is perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine because it is absolutely free to show up and just hang out. It is absolutely free to hit the like button. It is free to share. That is another big thing, especially when you're shadow banned. If you can take the URL of this video, put it on Twitter, put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook, put it on TikTok, put it on another YouTube channel, wherever you can put it. That is the one way that YouTube cannot hold me down, is if you guys help. And you already know that their notification system sucks. So what I need is for you guys to be the notification that you want to see in the world. That's right. Just take the URL. It is free. And it takes 20 seconds. Just plaster it wherever you can. With that, guys, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I don't have another non-cheesy way to say it. Hey, there we go. Kelly with the share. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't have a less cheesy way to say it, but I just love hanging out with you guys so much. And that is why we are headed over to panel time in the Discord server. That's right. It is free to enter Discord right now. Right now. I just got a notification on how to do memberships and subscriptions and all that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you guys, we are growing. I have a number that's already in my head. When the Discord reaches that number, we are cutting it off, and everybody who's in the Discord server is going to be in for free forever. Everybody else is going to have to pay monthly, and they're going to want to pay monthly because it is going to be awesome. You want proof? Head over there right now. That is where I'm going to be. Thank you again so much for hanging out, guys. I hope you enjoyed this party. I am your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am out of here. Hitler sucks. Peace.